Hey gamers, welcome to Last Week, Last Night, where we covered DSP's politics channel. That's right, I decided to give this a type of name. I was thinking for like a while now, probably for like a week, like, no, should I call this just Let's Talk About DSP Politics or whatever the fuck? But then I was like, wait a minute, since we're discussing politics, current events, why not just take the name of another political news show and just tweak it so it's Last Week, Last Night, and we're gonna go over DSP's busy night recapping the week of news because that's what he does now. That's who he is, and we're gonna enjoy the slop he's gonna give us, apparently. All right, sound good? Sound good to me. Okay, let's get into it. Enough jibber jabbing, whatever. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking remember Jib Jab. Remember that? Oh wait, wrong window. I'm on the OBS window. Okay, here we go. Let's go.
Live from lovely, very even-minded Renton, Washington. Right. Anyway,
Wow,
good evening, everyone.
even-minded,
Welcome
right.
to this week's show.
Yeah, because politics is always black and white,
ready
correct?
For a good show of political coverage and fun.
Okay, guys, my politics are the best politics. Everyone else is the crazy people, obviously. That's how it works, right? Correct?
Here tonight, exclusively on Kick, and of course, recording some highlights for the
For
DSP
now.
Reacts channel.
Gonna spoil a little bit. He's been kind of regretting doing this as a Kick-only stream and is debating, oh, should we also co-stream this on DSP Reacts? So, we'll see. Honestly, I think you should just cancel this show altogether. I think we had our fun, and I think it's time for this to die. You know what I'm saying?
This week, we've got a good variety of content. We've got three really big major stories to cover. The first story being the actual news being gathered about the murderer of the UnitedHealthcare CEO, or I guess we should say the accused or suspected murderer, Luigi. Yes, we're going to talk all about him, his motives, what happened.
We're going to talk about
who
Luigi.
he
It's
was,
the year of
what's going
Luigi,
on with him
guys.
right now, because we finally have information about it. Last week you guys wanted me to talk about it, and I said, I'm not going to cover that because we don't have news.
It's speculative.
We don't actually have information. Just because we know the person was murdered doesn't mean we actually know anything about the murderer. Why are we going to speculate? Let's wait for the information. And now we have it, and so we're going to talk about it.
Well, you can talk about the speculation.
Also, this week,
or your thoughts on it. Like, it's kind of funny. He didn't want to talk about it, but he could explain, like, what does he think about it? I mean, obviously he's going to say murder is wrong, but I mean, well, you know what? We'll get to it. We'll have DSP explain it to us.
Syria, the government was toppled and overthrown. A group of rebels are now controlling it with a new leader, and the former leader of the country has evacuated and fled basically as a refugee. And we're going to talk all about how all that transpired and went down.
So, whatever.
Who the key players are in that situation, who stands to benefit or be hurt, and what's happening currently with that situation. The third big piece of news this week is that there's been an ongoing drama regarding someone who last year in a New York City subway put someone in a chokehold. This resulted in the person passing away, and there was a ginormous controversy, a huge trial regarding this person. Are they guilty of murder or not? Should they be held accountable in any way, shape, or form? Well, tonight we're going to analyze the situation because guess what? The verdict has come in, and they were found acquitted of all charges. And this...
Now get this, right? What taints this story to me was that he kept calling the dude a hero. Now, you can say whatever. We're going to get to it when we get to it. So it's a very loaded topic. I'm just going to say that's a very loaded story. And I kind of don't think this was a story DSP should have covered, honestly. This is... It just... No. Just no.
This has created gigantic controversy around the situation.
DSP is the last person to talk about it, honestly.
Some people rejoicing, some people are absolutely infuriated, and we're going to talk about both arguments and, give you my take on it as well.
Okay, so I was watching the Kinda Slav restream of this, and it was just like, man, it would have been one thing if he was just like, oh, I think what Daniel did was like, he was only reacting to like someone there, you try to do the best for the subway or whatever. Like, that's one take, and you can think whatever with that take. He went in a direction. It was a direction. It was just a direction, and I really don't think he should have done that, But we'll get to it when we get to it.
All right. Now, in addition,
I just couldn't believe what I heard.
Topics. I want to say thank you.
We're not getting to the other topics.
Who are members
you won't
over
believe
on my DSP Reacts
you
channel.
won't believe it. He's gonna freak
Those
out about the
members
RGBs more than the other
nominating topics and submitting videos for us to review. And we have quite a few that I had saved up. I think I have 3 or 4 that I felt were appropriate for this week that I have here on deck. We may or may not get to them. It really depends on how long we spend on each of the first 3 topics. But I have a couple quick things to say as we start the show. All right, number 1, thank you to those of you who are here tonight. I realize that tonight is a different kind of night. Not only are the Game Awards going on right now live, but also Kino Casino is live. So basically, I have a lot of competition.
A lot of competition.
I just want to say thanks to anyone who's...
This dude is so cool. He just sits there and talks about competition of other, like, people, whatever.
Here, I'm going to guess we have 120 people.
You know, I think last week I didn't cover him talking about Trudeau, but whatever.
Get around 200. I'm not surprised at
That's
all.
last week.
That's the case.
Not this week.
But maybe we'll build up some more viewership tonight. I'm not sure. Still the most attended stream that I do on this channel. This channel usually only gets around 50 viewers. So to have over 100 extra viewers tonight, I'm very appreciative. However, I do have something to say about last week's show. Okay? Last week,
last week's show was
DS
garbage.
Politics ended my streak.
It should have just canceled
I had 96 straight streams where I was hitting this goal.
I couldn't believe what I heard.
Died out.
I vaguely remember it now, but man,
this show did not get support.
It was wild. What did he talk about?
Basically, this show had 1 membership, 1 sub, and 2 tips.
Well, that was it. Trying to remember
so
this
we didn't even
garbage
come close.
Show.
And here's the thing: some people gave me crap for it, and they were like, "Phil, you shouldn't hold that as part of the show, or a part of your streak. It's your politics show. Man. It's different from all your other content. It
I know it got really heated too.
Everyone else was supporting you during your gameplay, and
I
get that. But at the same time, I felt like it would be pretty dishonest to lie about it.
I'm scared to even think
and be
about
like,
it.
"Oh, aren't you aware? This did happen. It's not like we can pretend like the night didn't happen." I feel like it would just be semantics to say, "Oh, the streak continued."
Semantics.
So instead, the streak ended, and we redesigned my goals. All right. Now it's absolutely not important.
Oh my god!
So much that I hit the goal every single stream. Therefore,
the immigration
tonight,
story. That's what I was thinking of.
Bucks, it's okay.
And that was a terrible thing to read.
But if we do hit it, I will add one to our goals.
I've been noticing this weird trajectory of this politics show. It just seems the further it goes, the more unhinged it gets. And maybe that's what people want. They want DSP to get more unhinged, but it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's worth it.
A milestone total, and it gets us closer to a DSP Tries It episode.
At this point, it's like it's like getting news from Chris Chan. Like imagine listening to Chris Chan. That's where we're going.
At the end of the road here. So please do consider supporting this stream. The 3 ways you can support: becoming a sub on the channel if you're not a subscriber already. Look at the About panel on the channel. All right, and /@DSP topics from those supporters. Also, I make highlights from this. Please consider topic of this.
All right. Wow, that was like a whole bunch of nothing. Just a very long-winded shill segment.
So you knew I was going to start with this one. We've got to start the show talking about the murder of the UnitedHealthcare CEO and the now in custody shooting suspect.
But now in custody.
Who he is, where he comes from,
where
what's
did he
currently
come from? Where did he
happening with
go?
this person. Okay? Let's do it. Let's jump right into this topic. So, ladies and gentlemen, hold on one second. There we go. The person in question, his name is Luigi Mangione.
Why does he still have that frame, by the way?
And we now know a ton about him, which we're going to kind of cover right now and summarize. Maybe some of you have not been following the story, and you'd be interested to learn more about this person. I know. Yeah,
let's learn about Luigi. Tell me about the Luigi.
Last week there was so much rampant speculation about who this person was, and there was no concrete evidence. Everyone was just guessing. Oh, I think he's this. I think he's that. It's like, yeah, but we don't need to guess. Let's just wait. They're going to catch the guy, right? Like, there was a
what if they never caught him
for him. You knew that we were
What
going
if
to
they never
catch it.
caught him?
So now today we can actually talk about it. All right, let's do it. Let's
All right,
jump
let's
into
talk
some of the
about 'em.
information.
Let's go.
So, first of all, what's going on right now? He's been charged by New York prosecutors, okay, with murder. He was arrested at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania on Monday. The full story, which isn't listed here, basically he was just kind of sitting there, still kind of wearing.
You know, I was reading, and I don't think it's gonna cover this. The person who turned Luigi in did. Usually they give you like some kind of like reward for turning in a suspect or whatever the fuck. The dude may not get that money anyway, and I saw that, I was like, I mean, obviously it's ironic, right? But I also think, the fact that you could not get rewarded for doing that. What kind of incentive do people have anymore to do that, right? Like, it's kind of like a very very weird situation that person was in, that he couldn't get the bounty, so he really did it for nothing, honestly.
The same outfit that he had committed the murder in. So he looked almost exactly the same as the security camera footage that had been put all over the internet. If you remember, that's all we had. That's all we were going on a week ago, was this security camera footage of him pulling out what appeared to be a 3D printed silenced weapon and shooting the UnitedHealthcare CEO.
How could you determine it was a 3D printed weapon without knowing that, though? A gun looks like a gun, correct? Whatever.
No, in the back of the head. It was put all over the internet. Everyone saw this. So because of this, people started looking for the guy, and they saw him at a McDonald's. So it's pretty obvious this guy did not care about hiding. If he did, he wouldn't be in public eating McDonald's, right? At the very least, he'd be ordering it to be delivered to his house, right? So he didn't give a shit. So 1 count of murder.
I mean, whatever.
2 counts of second-degree criminal possession of a weapon. 1 count of a second-degree possession of a forged document. And a count of third-degree criminal possession of a weapon. That's what's been filed against him. So he was found with a 3D printed pistol and a black silencer, which was also 3D printed, which is pretty crazy to think that now you can just 3D print your weapons.
Yeah, that is.
You don't even need to buy them.
That is kind of wild.
So you don't need to register. There's no traceability on a 3D printed weapon.
That's and I wonder, like, did the people who wrote this story were debating, should we say that the gun was 3D printed? Should we even admit that? Because, you know, that's putting the information out there. I just wonder, like, what would be the ramifications of this for that industry? Because at this point, they may just, like, either restrict the purchase of 3D printed, like, 3D printers or whatever. It's really, I don't know what's gonna happen with this. That would be kind of, I don't know, that's kind of wild.
I think that people can be doing this now, okay? So they said that they do have evidence proving that he's the person in that surveillance video that we all probably saw. I didn't even mean to see it. I saw it because it was posted all over Twitter.
I didn't mean to see it.
X, I should say. It was all over the place.
He still wasn't called Twitter X.
Appearance.
Man,
he arrived to court yelling,
wild.
It's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people. It's lived experience. What the hell is that supposed to mean?
What?
Yelling, it's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the... I should say. It was all over the place. So, court appearance. He arrived to court yelling, it's completely out of touch and an insult to the intelligence of the American people. It's lived experience. What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Lived experience, as he was escorted from the car to inside the building. Inside the courtroom, Blair County District Attorney detailed that what was found on Maggioni when he was... Okay, I thought I'd explain a little bit more of the context of that. Because I think there had to be context, man.
I have absolutely no idea. So what's going to happen is that they're trying to fight extradition. They're actually trying to get him to go to New York. But he's trying to fight the extradition, and so there's going to be some back and forth legal nonsense going on.
Legal nonsense.
In the meantime, obviously, they're gathering as much evidence as humanly possible to pin this on him so that basically he can't try to sneak away or delay anything. Okay? Did I say expedition? I meant to say extradition. I'm sorry if I said expedition.
Yeah, you better
So
apologize.
he has a lawyer. You always got to wonder about these defense lawyers.
Why?
There's this thing is like, okay,
Dude, people deserve a defense lawyer. You don't want to go to court by like this dude is really weird. You gotta think about these defense lawyers. Yeah, why would they want to defend their client, right? Okay.
O.J. Simpson defense. This guy was a well-known celebrity. This guy everyone loved. And then for him to be suspected of murder, that's kind of like a high-profile deal. But the lawyer of this kid, no one knew who this kid was. Out of nowhere, he murders a CEO. Would you really want to be involved in this? So I don't.
What? What is the statement? So now he's saying, like, what are you talking? What is this? I don't know why this is like getting me more riled up than I thought it would. Honestly, what does that mean? So you gotta think about these defense lawyers, right? O.J. Simpson, he's an actor. Everyone wants to defend him. But Luigi? Who is that? Why would a defense lawyer want to defend him? So now, I guess defense lawyers will only take cases if you're a star, right? If you're just a normal citizen, you don't get one, right? What does that have to do with anything? What relevance does that have? I've never heard anyone on this planet talk about defense lawyers like this. If anything, I've heard more people say that people should get defense lawyers, or that there should be better defense lawyers, or whatever the fuck. But not that. Why would a defense lawyer take this case? Dude, he's a lawyer. They take a case because that's their job. And I think it's kind of distasteful, just on principle, that this dude is insinuating that lawyers should have the right to I mean, I guess they could turn away clients, but at the same time, if someone is willing to pay someone to be their lawyer, I mean, they should take the job. I mean, people should have access to lawyers. Like, not everyone can go to the court of law and be able to defend themselves accurately. There's all these other, like, issues. What if, it might be a slim chance, right? But what if Luigi was actually innocent? And every defense lawyer didn't want to take the case because he's not a high-profile person. And then this innocent guy gets sent to jail for murder that he didn't commit, right? Like, dude, come on. Why say this? What was the point of saying this?
I don't know who this Tom Dickey guy is, but he's got to have balls of steel to step up to try to defend this guy. He says he's going to plead not.
Does he think lawyers just like kind of like they decide to defend people, or that like whatever? Oh, this dude is so stupid. He's so stupid. Come on.
Not guilty, which is pretty insane considering they found a fake ID and a gun.
Yeah, I think that's kind of brave. This is a plead not guilty.
That's pretty insane.
Let's see what happens with that. I'm curious. I'd be curious how this is going to turn out. Not guilty.
A missing persons report filed in San Francisco by his mother on November 18th. CNN reached out to their police department and they said that he does have ties to San Francisco, but the exact time, is unclear. Supposedly, it says the suspect may have suffered a back injury in July of 2023. So some of the difficulty, some of the writing they found on him is talking about his back injury. So what they're trying to piece together here, if you can't figure it out, he murdered the CEO of a health insurance company. So what they're trying to say is if he got a back injury, did this health insurance company possibly deny his claims?
No, what happened was, like, at least from what I remember reading social media, that it was more about his grandparents. Like it was that, like, he was getting revenge for his grandmother or something, because everyone was like, this is the most Italian thing someone's ever done, or whatever. That's at least what I remember. I don't know if it's the back injury itself, but whatever.
He get health care for his back, and that's what made him become so angry that he wanted to murder this CEO. That's what they're trying to piece together right now, okay? So this is the situation as of today. Now, there's a million stories about this guy.
This is the story.
His former classmate.
Oh my god, this is kind of like lame. he goes with this story. There's all these other unique stories that talk about like anything else about this, and he picks the one that's like, oh, the classmates say this. I mean, of course they're gonna say that. I mean, they, whatever.
Brilliant in high school. He didn't seem like the kind of kid who would ever do something like this. But how many times do you kind of hear that story? Oh, I never suspected that this person would have been the one who would have done this. They were the valedictorian of the high school and they were a nice person and this and that. I think if anything, what we've seen with some of these killers, these shooters,
These
is
killers.
that either people would know if they actually did pay attention. Okay, a lot of the times it's like a parent or someone is very like inattentive, allowing that person to have these thoughts or crazy things go on. Or sometimes these people, you just don't know them. You think you know someone and you just don't know them well enough. And then something sets them off and the next thing you know,
Oh my god, dude. Boom.
okay, they're doing something crazy or completely unbelievable, right?
Of course, like people, not everyone knows like everyone on that kind of level. Like, come on, dude. Like, we don't know what's going on in your mental health. We can make assumptions, but whatever. Okay.
Now, they did do the non-guilty plea, FYI, and continuing on with everything that's been going on with this guy, they found a book, pages of notes, all right? And they're kind of calling it Mangioni's Manifesto. And they're combing through it, but they're not really giving any information out. I mean, it's an ongoing investigation. They're not going to just spill the beans and tell you everything about this guy.
Very Italian.
This is something that they need to prove in a court of law to try to get a conviction. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to be like, oh, here's everything that we found on this guy. But it says that they found a bunch of pages of notes in a spiral notebook. It includes to-do lists of tasks that needed to be completed to facilitate a killing, as well as notes justifying those plans. So, I mean, they found the weapon. That looks exactly like the weapon in the video. They found a notebook stating the fact that...
I've been noticing this a lot with DSP when it comes to this kind of stuff. He seems to get very excited when the police have their guy and the police are, like, gonna win the case. He gets very excited. Like, he sounds like he's ready to, like, pop off again. Like, he's gonna have a May 1st burst over the police. It's such a weird thing. Like, people are like, okay, justice has been served or whatever, but this guy gets like very excited. It's like a sports team winning. Like, this dude, like, you think he's watching the NFL and he's like, dude, my team, they scored a touchdown. But it's like he's reading like this, and he's like, oh, the cops got their guy. Yes. Like, it's really, really weird.
Is planning on doing it, and this is how he would do it and how to justify it. I mean, this is going to be a pretty hard defense, I feel. I mean, they're really going to have to fuck up this investigation horribly in order to get this one thrown out. But it's happened. He did. Like, no lie, this has actually happened, where they have a slap bang case and they accidentally do something stupid that's against the, the way that you're supposed to actually proceed with the investigation, and then they end up making the person get off from the charges because they did the investigation wrong.
Yeah, maybe they should do it correctly.
So here we go. In one notebook,
they should try being good at their jobs, correct?
Wrote about the Unabomber. Remember that guy?
Remember that guy?
The CEN had previously reported Mangione wrote about in posts online as well. In his passage in the notebook, Mangione concludes that using a bomb against his intended victim would kill innocents, but shooting him would be more targeted, musing, what could be better than to kill the CEO at his own bean counting conference? Ooh. I mean, this is not looking too good for Mr. Mangione.
At least he de-escalated what he was gonna do. I mean, like, he, instead of like having innocent bystanders being killed, he decided to go with the more personal route, which, at the end of the day, at least he was like, you know what, let's just kill one person, not do let's not do a mass, issue. So at least he pick the least explosive route, you know what I'm saying? Oh, man.
So he had expressed a diverse range of political viewpoints in a months-long correspondence
his
with
politics
an online
is wild.
blogger. So Mangione was a subscriber to Gurwinder Bogle's Substack, The Prism. The two corresponded this past spring. They had a 2-hour video chat in May. Mangione said he was in Japan and exchanged 20 emails and direct messages on X and Substack. He says Mangione told him he subscribed to his blog. Here we go.
And
What seemed to
here we
resonate with
go.
Luigi, he was also left wing on some things and right wing on others. Vogel told CEN in an email. For instance, he was pro equality of opportunity, but anti woke, anti DEI, and anti identity.
What? So he's against DEI, but he's pro equality of opportunity. Okay. Okay.
Politics. He opposed wokeism
Make it
because he
make
didn't believe it was
sense.
an effective way to help minorities. So, what's hilarious is that a lot of people in the chat are saying, I don't know, Phil. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of similarities between this Luigi guy and you. You know, he was valedictorian and you were valedictorian. He was kind of, in the middle on certain issues. You're on the middle on a
Oh,
lot of
man.
issues. Like,
We gotta make it about, how can you make this about me? That's what he was thinking.
I don't know what you guys are trying to say. All right, listen. By the way, he has a back injury,
This whole thing, all of this, it's all about me.
I don't really have it anymore. I did have a serious back injury at one point. That is true.
Wait, what?
You say. All right, listen. By the way, he has a back injury, which I had, and I don't really have it anymore.
He doesn't have it anymore. Wow. Guys, his back is cured. The Seattle air did its magic yet again. Until he wants to be a victim. Then he'll remember he has it.
I did have a serious back injury at one point. That is true. Yes, I'm a quarter Italian. He's mostly Italian. I'm a quarter Italian.
Yeah, he's mostly Polish.
All right. So, and he's if you don't know, if you haven't seen the pictures, he's
Italian.
massively ripped. He's completely like an Adonis, okay?
Oh my
and
God,
as you all
dude.
know, I have lost a tremendous amount of weight, and I actually do have a glistening marble body underneath these nice clothes.
No, you don't.
I just don't show it
You're
off
not
because
funny,
I don't like
man.
to, I don't like to brag or anything. I don't want to make other men feel uncomfortable in their own skin. So I keep these clothes on, you understand?
This is so
But,
funny.
This guy,
It's so funny.
He likes posting these pictures on social media.
Man. Ha 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 ha. Hilarious.
There's too many similarities here.
Silly
I agree.
even.
In another lifetime, you never know. In another lifetime,
Wow,
maybe I would have got
really
screwed over
harping
by a healthcare CEO and lost
this.
my mind like this crazy guy too.
We are
right? I don't know.
harping on the similarities.
So
Cool.
he only vaguely remembers Mangione discussing a back injury he sustained. Their last correspondence had been in June. He was so thoughtful and polite. So there you go. He seemed like the last person I would suspect of murdering someone. So again, a lot of the times, these people who do these things,
Man.
they just don't seem to give any indication that they would do them, which is crazy. Again, no one had any idea.
Dude, no one would tell someone that they were gonna do something that was illegal? Why? Why didn't they say this? Oh my God.
This guy was unhinged and could do something like this. So the
I don't think it was unhinged. I just think like it was a very straightforward cause and effect kind of thing. Something happened with their healthcare and his family that pissed him off, and then he was like, fuck these guys. Because like, a lot of people have given a lot of like shit on healthcare, especially UnitedHealthcare. By the way, they have the highest denial rate, and I think they even used AI to send out denials to their clients, and it would also deny claims for life-saving medicine, life-saving treatments, etc. So you could argue that they're also killing thousands of more people by giving these denials to people. Like, I do think that there's something to say. The fact that someone was murdered and everyone online has, like, no sympathy for a CEO of a healthcare company. Like, you can say whatever about murder, obviously murder is wrong and all that stuff, but you can just sit there and just think about, like, you can hear about any other murder and everyone will be like, oh, that's awful. I hope this guy goes to, gets justice, etc., etc. But with this, it's like, everyone has no sympathy or empathy for Brian Thompson. And I think that should be more of a sign that, like, people yearn for some kind of healthcare reform than just what we've been getting. And I think that's a much more interesting story and approach to this than what DSP is going through, because it's very generic and empty to say, guys, he snapped and he did this. Like, we're not gonna like talk about like the grander reach of this and like all this other stuff. Then other than healthcare bad and murder bad. Like, I mean, there's a much more interesting story with this than just like this. But whatever.
Trying to stop online support because basically what happened was they had found 3 shell casings, and supposedly I don't think know if this is confirmed yet, but it says deny, defend, and depose were printed on the shell casings of the bullets that he put into this CEO.
I don't think he needs to highlight, by the way.
And a lot of people are saying that sounds like the name of a 2010 book that's critiquing the health insurance industry.
This is like what CNN said, but I think other people have said this is just the tactics healthcare uses to deny people coverage. I don't think it's necessarily referencing the book, but you know, I could see the connection though, but whatever.
Called Delay, Deny, and Defend. Now, if that's the case, I'm sorry, he's a valedictorian. I gotta grade him. Deny and defend. Okay, but depose, that's not the same word.
Wow, this dude is so funny. We're talking about this and he's like, she's a valedictorian. Okay, we gotta give him a grade. Like, dude, you're talking about like real life and you're gonna do this kind of joke. And it's very obvious. It may not be necessarily tied to the book itself, but whatever. Okay.
It was delay. Luigi, the third word was delay. You fucked up. So I'm sorry, you had 3 chances to get it right. You got 2, so I can only give you a 66% grade on this exam, and that's a failing grade.
Wow, hilarious.
You couldn't get the 3 words right.
Wow,
anyway.
Can you find
so
some
yeah,
bleach,
so basically,
please?
listen to this. The suspect in this case has garnered sympathy and online fandom.
Listen to this. Now, why would people like rally behind Luigi and not a CEO that has profited off of people's misery? I wonder why.
Partly because of people's problems with the health insurance industry. The majority of insured U.S. adults had at least one issue, including denial of claims with their insurance in the span of a year, according to a survey released in June of 2023. So people started putting merchandise up.
What?
Okay? Merchandise up. And they were selling it on there, and they pulled it down because they're like, this is associated with a freaking murder and a murder investigation. No, you can't sell this merch on our site. Okay? But there's still merch on eBay and other places. They're saying, you know, that phrase actually doesn't violate our rules. It's like, jeez.
It's just dude. Honestly, it's just words. Healthcare been throwing those words around. How come they can do it but we can't? See how bullshit this is? See how bullshit the system is?
Jeez. Continuing on, there's just a ton of information that's come out. That book, Delay, Deny, Defend, has soared in sales on Amazon now. Now everyone wants to read this book for some reason.
For some reason, they want to read a book about healthcare. Why would they want to read this? Why do they want to know about healthcare more? Huh? So now we're going to shame people for like, see how weird this politics show is? It's really like an alien. Huh? What's going on? Like, let's not think too hard.
All of a sudden, everyone is so, interested in health insurance, I guess.
Yeah, what? Why would they be interested in health insurance? Why would they be interested? Okay, guys, type in your theory as to why people would be interested in health insurance. Why would they care about health insurance? I don't know, guys. Is it, what's this fad of, like, caring about health insurance? No one has ever talked about health insurance prior to 2024. No one's ever talked about it. You could go on DSP Reacts, find podcasts in like 2016 and all this stuff, or the one about Leanna having a panic attack, and you will definitely hear nothing from DSP about healthcare. You will never hear him talk about it because no one cared about healthcare until this year, this very moment apparently. This dude is so dented. Why would they care? I guess people care about health insurance now suddenly. Oh, I can't believe this dude. He's doing this politics show and he's like dumbfounded about shit like this. Oh my god.
So
I don't think
why
you thought this
would
through.
Luigi Mangione be fighting extradition to New York? Well, the reason is, it says there could be several reasons. It will allow him more time to think about his defense, demand prosecutors present more evidence at the next hearing, or maybe try to get bail in Pennsylvania, which is unlikely. I mean, he's not going to get bail.
How do you know that?
There's
What if
no
he
judge
did?
in their right mind is going to grant this guy bail with all this evidence they already have.
But
okay?
whatever. I mean, sure.
So most criminal defendants facing prosecution on more serious charges in another state waive their right to extradition, but in murder cases like Mangione's, there's no chance he's going to be let out, so he's fighting that extradition. 8 or 9 out of 10 times, defendants waive extradition because they realize it's so perfunctory, it's so easy, and most of them don't want to languish in detention in the other state because you don't even get to fight your case yet. Okay? So here's the thing. Before we get to my opinion, because I do have a lot to say on this, okay? There's one other thing that I want to cover. I mean, we just covered a lot of the case and things. Oh, by the way, we should bring up, basically, now people are starting to threaten the police officers who arrested him and are now investigating the case, which is pretty insane. Like, why are you threatening the police officers?
I don't think this is the first time.
We're just trying to investigate a crime.
Okay.
Don't you want them to actually figure out what's going on?
What if they didn't?
And that, if he's really a killer or not? And don't you want to find out?
I mean, people are gonna
who
do
the hell would
things.
spend
I mean,
$52.80 on a can of tuna? Because that sounds pretty expensive to me. I don't know about you guys. Oh, there you go. Now it's 20% off at least. So they've got instant sale.
It's still
right here on DS Politics.
$52.80.
That's nice.
You had a hard time reading that.
Okay,
one,
continuing
okay.
on.
Click the link. You just click
So
the
they
link.
do have the body cam of when they arrested him. However, they're not releasing that yet. So we're holding off on that. But that probably will be released, at some point during the investigation. Listen to this.
Listen to this.
His lawyer has received offers to completely cover Luigi Mangione's legal bills. So he says, my understanding, my office staff are looking at this and we probably won't accept the offers. Obviously, my client appreciates the support.
It's like he's reading this, but DSP is like having a hard time grappling or whatever the notion that more people just are not happy with CEOs. Like this dude like had all these podcasts, shitting on Bobby Kotick and all these other CEOs, and then he gets this story dropped on his lap, and he's just like, why are people like so mean to CEOs, guys? Like, this is weird. I mean, you could even argue, like, if this was like, Bobby Kotick, right, in this situation, it would be kind of like, well, all he did was like mishandle, his job, whatever. But this CEO like handled a lot of stuff dealing with like everyday people who had health insurance. Again, healthcare is important to people. You can't undervalue or underappreciate the fact that like, not everyone plans to go to the hospital, but when you do, you're gonna want to have like some kind of healthcare to help you. And a lot of people are upset at these healthcare companies because they don't seem to be helping them. And that's a problem. And these people seem like, just going through this. I mean, I guess I get on just the notion of murder is bad, but it's like, you don't really get any insight or anything new from this. And it's just like, a waste of time, if anything.
But it doesn't sit right with me. He's been referred to as a hero on social media. A hero.
A hero.
Okay? Oh, by the way, my backdrop.
Yeah, why would people like? So again, like, if you're given such shitty healthcare, you're gonna be this frustrated where the murder will be seen as a heroic action. I mean, like, you could sit there and say all day that murder is wrong and this and that, but again, I think it's more interesting to look at just the ramification of how people are reacting to this and the fact that, like, again, there's no sympathy towards Brian Thompson than anything else. Like, it says a lot about the healthcare system. But he's just saying, like, I can't believe they think this guy's a hero. Well, I mean, dude, like, the United Healthcare insurance, whatever, has given such a huge amount of denials. And this ranges not from just, like, nonsensical claims, but it also reaches the people who need life-saving treatment that they can't afford, and that's why they have healthcare in the first place, with the understanding that maybe they can help pay some of the bill, or make it more affordable for me to get the medication I need. Like, that's like what's going on here.
Desynced. I'm glad that I don't. I'm glad that we're in the middle of the story now and you can't see that. I'm gonna have to fix it after the fact. Nice desyncing. He's a hero for murdering the CEO.
I mean, this is like getting mad at Robin Hood for stealing from the rich. That's really what this is. It's like, people are saying Robin Hood's a hero. He stole from the rich, guys. He stole from our king. And you're saying Robin Hood is a hero? What the fuck? I mean, again, like, you can say that murder is wrong, but I mean, again, what do you call a healthcare company that denies a huge amount of claims that range into like life-saving treatments? Like, come on.
Insurance company, they think that this man is a hero. Okay?
Like, he's really not understanding the relationship people have with this story, or why would people consider Luigi a hero, because he doesn't care. He just says healthcare bad, but why is it bad? He has never been through a situation where he needed a life-saving treatment, be it medication, whatever, and having their healthcare deny it, and the treatment's like very expensive. Like, Jesus has not been put through that, so he doesn't understand that, like, these are the problems that people face with some of their healthcare providers. And he's like, why would they say this guy's a hero? Again, it's just this frustration people have with the healthcare. Like, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to like figure this out.
Oh, by the way, the lawyer says, I haven't actually seen any evidence that they have the right guy. That's what his lawyer said. Now, I mean, good on the lawyer for sticking up for his client, but I mean, he had the gun. He has literally a manifesto, and
yeah, that is a wild statement to say.
That he actually had a back injury. You know, like, everything is starting to stack up, don't you think?
Well, the back injury, I don't think that's
at least
proof.
You can argue there's circumstantial.
How can you prove something? This guy has a back injury. There you go, get him. Like, okay.
Stuff that possibly would lead you to believe that he was the actual killer. I don't know how the lawyer could possibly say, I see no evidence whatsoever. That seems pretty ridiculous. Former classmate stunned that the CEO suspected killer is the person they knew in school. They were fraternity brothers, and they say, oh, we never would have thought.
Why is he mocking this?
I think a lot of these people, the whole idea.
They're asking his classmates, of course they're going to say that. He's like mocking this. Like, why?
Here, okay, is that
whatever.
They're not going to give you the impression that they're going to do something like this, you know, and that we're seeing this more and more, that people have this kind of like a public persona that they put out as their face, their facade, but then behind the facade, there's this whole other person or existence, right? A whole other personality.
We're explaining
that's
this.
The real person behind all of that.
No shit.
By the way, here's a picture of the gun, or a similar gun, I believe. And what's wild to me about this is completely 3D printed. I think not the clip, not the bullets, but the gun is 3D printed. So exactly how are we going to regulate that? Because right now, to prevent people from getting a gun who shouldn't have one, you have to, if you, for example, mental illness, right? You have to tell them when you're trying to get a gun, well, yes, I have a history of mental illness, or I have a history of drug abuse, or I have a history of this. I mean, we were just talking about Hunter Biden, right? And how Hunter Biden last week, you know, that was one of the crimes that he went to jail for, or was going to go to jail for, was that he lied on his form to get a gun, saying that he wasn't a drug addict, but he had to say that. So here you go, a ghost gun.
Right. A ghost gun.
And they're nearly undetectable to law enforcement. I mean, why would they be? Aren't you printing it, right? I'm just curious. I think maybe we should watch this ghost gun video.
Oh, man. And they're gonna just drop it because of this. It's just
Never mind. I'm not gonna watch the flow forecast. This is disgusting. What a disgusting website CNN is.
Yeah,
the flow forecast.
So disgusting. Why do women need commercials for things they need? So gross. Ew. Women should not get commercials. What? Oh man, dude. Like, this dude is whatever. That was just a funny
on there.
tangent.
I'm just not gonna watch it now. Fuck.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Okay, so
man, he got so offended by that. grow up. Like, dude, this is definitely the guy that would get mad at the movie you read. This movie is disgusting, even though it's actually a good movie, man.
Oh, that's currently what's going on, and we have
Whatever.
the flow forecast.
Man.
The fucking flow forecast. Seriously? That's what they have to hit me with.
It's not that big of a
second.
deal. Man. Why is it such a big deal that they make an ad for tampons?
Yes,
you know, a thing that women buy?
Or disconnected, I should say.
Whatever. Apparently just the existence of tampons is enough to get this guy freaked out.
Right now. I doubt it, though.
Thick skin, by the way. Oh my god, tampons!
I'm seeing the wrong colors.
Okay, I think we're just doing RGB troubleshooting. We're not doing this. We get to the next story here. It's not well labeled because it's like other stuff, but we're gonna go to this. Now, I'm just gonna say I'm not well versed in this either. I just know that like people have said Assad is a dictator and all this other stuff, so you know, that's all I knew. And I also heard that the new guy that's there, he was either part of the Taliban, and they're like, oh, what about this? And he's like, well, things change. I was 20 years old. Now I'm like older. I'm a different person now. I mean, we'll see what happens from that. But let's have DSP explain it to me, since I'm a dumb American. Maybe DSP will educate me on this.
All right, are we ready to get back? So thank you guys for that little bit of support there. Again, let's please keep the support going.
Let's not.
All right, please. And thank you in advance for anything. Let's continue. All right. Here we go.
We gotta do that same intro again, right?
All right, folks, ready? Okay, everyone, it is time for our next major topic of the night.
Wow, he keeps fat fingering other intros. How do you do that? Whatever.
So, crazy stuff happening over in Syria.
Crazy stuff.
Okay? I just want to kind of summarize everything that has happened over the course of this wild week over there. And then kind of give you a little bit of my take. But I actually found a really good article that basically is going to say...
I'm surprised you knew the famous BBC joke.
Best, or who are the players in this whole Syrian conflict, okay? So, FYI, the government of Syria was overthrown earlier this week. A stunning advance by Syrian rebels ended Bashar al-Assad's 24-year-long rule, with opposition forces taking the capital and forcing the president to flee on the 8th of December. The overthrow followed a 13-year civil war, which started after Assad crushed pro-democracy protests. The fighting killed more than 500,000 people, displaced millions more, and embroiled international powers and their proxies. The world is now watching to see how Syria's political landscape shapes up after the end of the Assad family's half-century rule. Those with a vested interest in the conflict and the future of the country include on one side Russia and Iran,
he just read this today?
Assad, and on the other side,
whatever.
the U.S. and Turkey,
I would be afraid to hear how he would summarize this.
And then they're going to explore the different sides on this, okay? So,
what is this? I want to read this chat post. OIC is going to take what he's owed for being your loyal papig, your booty hole. What the fuck? I know you hate relying on him because he's a creepy fuck, but you submit to Daddy OIC to get paid like nasty whore. What the fuck? You're unlewed. What the fuck is this statement? I'm assuming that got banned.
So, FYI, I have a series of different articles that I'm going to be covering. Why is Israel attacking Syria? What has happened with al-Assad, the former ruler of, or leader, I should say, of Syria? And then there's a pretty good summary here of the new leader in Syria, okay? So, with this overthrow, here's what's going on. Here are the different countries who have a vested interest in what's going on in Syria and how it's basically going to affect them and the world. Okay, so Turkey. During Syria's civil war, Turkey was supported rebel factions, most of which now fight under the banner of the Syrian National Army by providing arms, military, and political support. Syria's northern neighbor has mostly been concerned with using rebels to contain the Kurdish YPG militia, which Turkey accuses of being an extension of the domestically banned Kurdish rebel group, the PKK. Turkey wants the roughly 3 million Syrian refugees living in its country to return home. So it had 3 million refugees in the country, but they're like, yeah, but you guys won now. Go back. We don't want you here anymore.
Oh man.
The YPG is the biggest militia in the U.S.-backed Kurdish-led
So
Syrian
funny.
Democratic
It's
Forces
really
Alliance,
weird
which
he
controls
laughs
most of the
about
northeast
this,
of the
by the
country.
way.
The SDF largely
His
avoided
reaction to refugees has always rubbed me the wrong way in this, and
conflict
you
with
know,
Assad's
you know what I'm
forces during
saying?
the war. However,
Whatever.
Turkish troops and allied rebels seized stretches of territory from the YPG and SDF along Syria's northern border. Turkey has been politically involved. In 2020, Turkey and Russia brokered a ceasefire to halt a push by the government to retake Idlib. So, basically, Turkey is the northern neighbor, okay? And Turkey's like,
Right.
we've been putting up with this crap for 25 years. You guys just can't stop fighting amongst each other. We took in millions of your refugees, but now that one side finally won, we want all your asses back. Get the hell back over there. They're like ready. They're going to toss them over the border like a sack of potatoes.
Look at this reaction to this. Like, man, is it really worth trying to be funny? He could just say, "Oh, they want the refugees to go back there, to go back to Syria," and then he could talk about like the issues with that or whatever. But instead, he wants to just be funny, and it's like, it's just not even funny. When it's not funny, it gets to the offensive territory or just cringe at best.
Get back down there and get out of our country. You've been here for too long.
And then he laughs at them,
Russia.
of course.
Russia already had a decades-long relationship with the Assad government and had military bases before the civil war. Russian President Vladimir Putin used his country's presence in Syria and support of Assad to challenge the power and dominance of the West in the region. So Russia benefited from Assad and that group being in charge of Syria. They were basically teaming up with them. And it says right here, Russia launched an air campaign and sent thousands of troops in support of the Assad regime. And Russia received 49-year leases on an airbase and naval base, which provided crucial hubs in the Eastern Mediterranean for transferring military contractors in and out of Africa. And it helped Russia assert itself as a global power. So Putin was happy with them being in charge because they were basically like, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. We're all good, right? I get it. I kind of get it. All right.
What?
So Turkey is just kind of there, like, we really don't want to be involved.
What a weird reaction to that. Like, he could have just said that they had a relationship there because of that. He's like, well, scratch our bag, you'll scratch yours. I get it, kind of. Like, I mean,
but we're your neighbor. We see this conflict going on. Refugees, if they need to come here, they do. But as soon as this is over, get the hell back. Leave us alone. Russia's like, no, we actually wanted, Assad in power because that would have been great because, it was helping us out. We were getting a foothold militarily throughout the world. It was helping us out.
All right.
The U.S., after Syria's pro-democracy protests in 2011 were met with force.
But Turkey's perspective, it said that, like, one side won, implying if Assad won the civil war, they would still want the refugees to go back. But okay.
U.S. President Barack Obama backed the opposition to Assad's rule. So the U.S. had been staying out of it. But then when democracy protests broke out, we want democracy, down with Assad, and Assad said, crush them now. And the military struck. The U.S. turned and said, oh, well, we're pro-democracy. The fact that you're not allowing...
By the way, DSP back in the day said he doesn't care about Syria, by the way. So that's where we're at right now. Well, back then, I guess.
Peaceful protests in your country like we have here. Mostly peaceful protests as the flames are exploding. And
oh my god, of course. Because, obviously nothing gets escalated by anything, right?
The looting begins. But,
yeah, all right.
Turned against them all of a sudden.
It.
Because originally, we were kind of saying neutral. But now we're like, nope, now we're going to get involved in it. Okay? So, a U.S.-led global coalition carried out airstrikes and deployed special forces to help the Kurdish-led SDF alliance capture territory once held by the IS in the northeast. And after the Assad government fell,
well,
the U.S. government said it conducted dozens of airstrikes against IS camps and operatives in central Syria to ensure the IS could not take advantage of the unstable situation. President-elect Donald Trump, who takes office in January, said Syria is a mess.
I love that he tells us like the acronym of DA and all these other acronyms, but he didn't want to give us the acronym. He didn't want to explain what the acronym IS is at all.
And the U.S. should stay out of it. When Trump was president in 2019, he ordered the withdrawal of U.S. troops from Syria, a move his officials gradually rode back. The U.S. currently has around 900 troops in Syria, mostly in the northeast. Okay? So we're basically been in and out of it. We were out of it, then we got into it, then we were out of it, then we got into it. We're back and forth. We're kind of wishy-washy on this, okay? Iran and Syria have been allies since Iran's Islamic Revolution in 1979. Syria backed Iran during that Iran-Iraq war in the 1980s. During the Syrian civil war, Iran is believed to have deployed hundreds of troops and spent billions of dollars to help Assad. So Iran is on Assad's side, much like Russia. They feel like
it'd be a little bit more problematic for us to be wishy-washy on this, right?
Israel. Now, this is the important one, because the next story is that Israel is bombing Syria. Okay, so let's talk. Israel seized the Golan from Syria in the closing stages of the 1967 Six-Day War and unilaterally annexed it in 1981.
Annexed. It's annexed. He says annexed. Annexed it. It annexed it. It's annexed. But great pronunciation there, buddy.
Internationally, although the U.S. did so unilaterally in 2019. Israel conducted hundreds of airstrikes against Iran-linked targets in Syria during the war, although it was really acknowledged to strike. So they're
Wait, hold on. Let's see. I'm gonna read that paragraph again. So, like, the Six-Day War unilaterally annexed it in 1981. This move was not recognized internationally, although the U.S. did so unilaterally. So the U.S. recognized it, but everyone else didn't, basically, because we allow Israel to do whatever they want to get, I guess.
Constantly attacking, and then they just like, oh no, we never did that, or we're not going to admit that we did that. But they were constantly attacking the entire time. Since rebels overthrew Assad, Israel has carried out hundreds of strikes across Syria. So within a couple of days, they're doing hundreds of airstrikes. Targets have included Syria's military infrastructure, naval fleet, and weapons production sites. Israel has said it is acting to stop weapons from falling into the hands of extremists. Israeli forces have also seized the demilitarized buffer zone in the Golan Heights. Israel said the 1974 disengagement agreement with Syria collapsed with the rebel takeover of the country. So Israel had been striking them with airstrikes, but never actually acknowledging it was them. And they apparently had some kind of a disengagement agreement or ceasefire agreement. But now that the rebels took over, they said, just start attacking them again. Okay, so boom, they're just attacking them nonstop.
Whatever.
So it's kind of a big mess, just like Donald Trump actually has described. You have so many players involved in this whole Syrian government and Syrian takeover. It's hard to really keep tabs on them or keep track. So it does sound like Turkey is okay with the rebels taking over. Totally. They just want the refugees out of there now. The U.S. wants democracy in other countries, so has supported when the rebels were trying to take over. But now Trump doesn't want to get involved in a million different wars around the world. Sounds like he's going to try to get us the hell out of there, even though it even says we
Though, I'm surprised these didn't talk about the quote, the statements. I think they asked Trump about Iran, and he said, "Oh, well, never say never," some weird shit like that. So we got that to look forward to and see what he's gonna do with Iran. So that is something.
We have like 900 troops. That's it.
Yeah, man, he's gonna.
Russia
the anti-war president,
and
obviously.
Iran both sided with Assad, the former regime, but Assad's now been overthrown. So what's that going to result in? Well, we're about to find out. Okay? So why was Israel bombing Syria?
All right, let's find out.
Well, the government collapsed when the rebels rose to power, and then immediately Israel started bombing the crap out of them. Okay? So, Israel reportedly launched hundreds of airstrikes on targets across the country, including the capital, according to security sources in Israel, Syria, and Lebanon cited by various outlets. Defense Minister Israel Katz on Monday confirmed the strikes. Quoted by Reuters, is it Routers or Reuters? I don't know how to say it. He stated that the military would destroy heavy strategic weapons throughout Syria, including surface-to-air missiles, air defense systems, surface-to-surface missiles, cruise missiles, long-range rockets, and coastal missiles. So essentially, here's what's really happened. Assad was defeated. He had to leave because he was about to be overthrown by the rebels. And the Israeli government saw this as an opportunity. Man, we never were able to strike those weapons because we just didn't have the means. Now that they're out of there, do it now.
How do they not have the
pound
means?
Them when the rebels don't have full control of everything.
But they were pounding them. They were pounding Lebanon, whatever. Okay, yeah. Now they are. Now they are going to pound them.
Yeah, to make sure that no one can actually have control of these weapons. They don't want Assad or the rebels or anyone to have control of these weapons because they see it as a threat. so just kick their ass. They're not necessarily anti-rebel. They just don't trust anyone with those weapons, so they just attack the shit out of them.
They were gonna attack
Okay?
anyway.
It's just funny because how many people
Okay.
know about this? Are you aware that this crazy
man.
world conflict was going on the other side?
You know,
of the
obviously
world?
through Twitter, I just saw some stuff about this. Like there's you can find stuff sometimes, but whatever.
And that there was constant airstrikes and attacks and people get blown up and everything. I don't think anyone did, right? Like I certainly didn't really hear about it in our news. We didn't hear about it. And it's like this has been going on, you know, for the greater part of 30 plus years.
You
This
read this in
ongoing
Newsweek,
conflict with
though.
Assad.
I mean, but there has been stories.
for
You
me,
just
this
have
is all
to
very
have to
eye-opening.
find it.
It is. This really is an
Whatever.
eye-opening situation.
Okay.
Okay.
We are just now
now-
learning about this thing that. Okay. Whatever.
By the way, the United Nations Special Envoy Geir Pedersen criticized the campaign on Tuesday, calling it a violation of the 1974 disengagement agreement between Israel and Syria, saying this needs to stop. Now, is he going to do anything about it or just say this needs to stop?
They've been trying to stop Israel, but the U.S. always voted either. I don't know if it was like. I think they just denied. You know, whatever. Like they were like, "Oh, we should do this about Israel," and U.S. would always vote against it. So that's why nothing has been happening, unfortunately.
Because you could say as much as you want, but that's not going to necessarily
Whatever.
do anything. You know, saying and doing are two different things.
It is what it is. What can you do?
I wonder how far they're going to go. Did they just want to destroy those few weapons, or are they going to keep going?
Is it gonna
Because
be
now
this-
they don't think that the rebels can really.
Okay, let's read this because I think it's gonna jump off of me. This says, "Why is Israel bombing Syria?" Speaking of the Golan Heights, on Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu celebrated the collapse of Assad's rule, while also warning that the resulting political vacuum in Damascus required Israel to take action against possible threats to ensure that no hostile force embeds itself. Okay, but he was gonna do it anyway. I mean, it's fucking
really mount
Netanyahu.
as much of a defense.
Man.
So what happened was Al-Assad has fled to Russia because he wanted to eat these delicious tuna packages down here. Now that
Wow.
this tuna is really prevalent.
What is
on
this
some of these
news? What is this
websites, isn't it?
website?
So,
I'll just
Here we
I
go.
don't
The
know,
country's
I don't
former
know.
president, Bashar al-Assad, fled Damascus for Moscow following his talks with a number of participants in the armed conflict in the Syrian Arab Republic. Bashar al-Assad decided to step down as the Syrian president and leave the country, instructing the government to transfer power peacefully, the Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs said on Sunday. The communication continued, clarifying that while Russia is playing no part in the negotiations, it remains in contact with all factions of Syrian opposition. Russia's official use of the word opposition to describe groups now in control of Damascus marks a shift. Just last week, Russia's foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, adamantly referred to the groups as terrorists in an interview with Al Jazeera. So, funny. Absolutely funny how everything changes when the people in charge change hands. Oh, well, they were in power. When Assad was in power, they were terrorists. But now that they're in power, oh, you know, they're just a couple opposition groups. And, you know,
This is really stupid. Russia's official use of the word opposition to describe groups in the country. Okay, so let's see. Its control of Damascus marks a shift. Just last week, Russia's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov admittedly referred to the group as terrorists in an interview with Al Jazeera. Russia's official use of the word opposition to describe the groups now in control of Damascus marks a shift. Just last week, Russia, so it was terrorists and then now whatever. Okay.
had a small disagreement over there. Now we're gonna kind of wait and see how things go. Wow, what a change of tone, right?
Because it's
So, all disagreement hands. Oh, well, they were in power. When Assad was in power, they were terrorists. But now that they're in power, oh, you know, they're just a couple opposition groups. And, you know, they had a small disagreement over there. Now we're going to kind of wait and see how things go. Wow, what a change of tone, right?
I was lost there, but
So,
alright.
Putin now is basically has Assad, and we don't know what's going to happen with that, right? And now here's Syria's new caretaker. So let's listen. This is actually, of all places, from Singaporean news, but it's actually well done. So this is
It's
the new
actually well
leader
done, unlike
in
the other
Syria.
news sites.
There we go.
from Arab states stepping up airstrikes into Syria to seal off a buffer zone and to stop rebel groups seizing weapons belonging to the ousted Assad regime.
Here we are.
Syria's new transitional prime minister has called for Syrians who have sought refuge abroad to return to their homeland. This comes just days after the country
I like how they filmed her. She's like so far away from the camera, and the camera is like so zoomed out. Like, this looks like kind of like a joke shot. Like, this is something I would see in like an Omega 64 video, because they kind of did that with It's not my favorite skit. It's like a 3DS thief or whatever, and like they had a news anchor or whatever be like so far away from the camera, look kind of silly. That's what this looks like.
Is still grappling. This comes as the country continues to grapple with the end of a civil war.
So what we just said, that Turkey said we want all the refugees out. Well, actually, the new leader of Syria said, yeah, we want that too. We want everyone to come back. A lot of people left our country. Millions of people left our country during the war. We won. The war is over. It's time to come back. So it seems like everyone's kind of on the same page, at least in that regard.
Following the ouster of longtime President Bashar al-Assad over the weekend. Appointed by rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, Mohammed al-Bashir has given reassurance to his people that the rights of all people and all sects in Syria will be guaranteed. Bashir ran the rebel-led Salvation government in northwestern Syria before the 12-day lightning rebel offensive swept into the capital, Damascus. He's calling for calm and stability and has done so since stepping into this new position. The country's diverse communities, including Christians, Kurds and Alawites, are now waiting for what sort of government Bashir will lead. Meanwhile, Israeli forces continue to strike deeper into Syria, claiming to have destroyed some of the country's strategic weapon stockpiles in just the past 48 hours.
So, I should think of it this way.
Think about this.
Your country is a crazy war going on for like 25 years, right? One group wanted democracy, the other group was in power, crushing the democratic protests and things like that. Okay, big war's been going on. Finally, it's all calming down, but you've been gone. You were a refugee. You left. You went to Turkey. You went to the west or the north, or you're out of there. You're out of that area.
Oh, get a load of this.
War. You don't. You know. You're basically living in peace somewhere.
He went from joking about like, oh, Turkey was to throw them in a potato sack and throw them over the border or whatever the fuck. Now it's like, well, what about these refugees? You know, they're happy with their new lives, and now they got to go back, and they don't know what's going to be waiting for them. And I also remember, again, last week's show where he talked about the immigration and all this other stuff. And he was like very like saying these people should go back to Mexico. We should send them back. Enough of these. They should be scared. And it's like, geez, man. Again, he didn't think about why they immigrated in the first place. But now he's like, well, these poor refugees, man. All right.
And now you've been there for a while. You probably established a new life there. You're probably happy and feeling safe there. And now the war is over. And when I say over in quotes like this, I really mean it, because who knows if it's over. Today, these people are in power and they claim to be democratic, and now Assad's gone. But do we 100%...
Oh my God, hold on, everyone. All right. Now we should be good. All right. For once, I actually got a reasonable phone call. It wasn't like bullshit. I know, right? Crazy.
Actually know or trust this new group, that they're going to follow through with what they're saying, that they're actually going to be treating their people with the respect that they're claiming, that it's going to be truly democratic. You know what they say? It's like, here comes the new boss, same as the old boss. Could we have a situation here where, yeah, this is a new group coming in, but now it actually isn't as nice as they're purporting it will be? I don't know. You know, again, you don't know. This is a brand new situation.
They're saying that they're gonna like respect them or whatever the fuck. But again, we'll have to see what happens.
So imagine you're one of these millions of refugees that left the country. You've been out of the war zone for a long time now. And now your own country is calling you back, saying, get back here. And the country that you're in, that you took refuge in, is saying, get the hell out. How would you feel? I mean, I'll be honest, pretty shitty. Because you don't really know. I mean, you just went through this crazy shit. You got the hell out of there to try to protect your well-being, your family members.
Wow, wait, you're
everything.
telling me people would, oh my god, dude, this dude.
Who knows what's really going to happen?
Who knows,
if you go
right? Who
back.
knows?
So I feel like a lot of these people are going to be very, very reluctant and skeptical to just all of a sudden believe everything and turn around and go back. On the same time, so Grande Dio just says, well, the free ride is over. I mean,
wow.
yeah, I'm sure that Turkey...
That's such a shitty take, though. The free ride is over. Yeah, they left for the free ride. They didn't leave for any other reason, right? Like, come on. And I like that DSP has no backbone into being like, oh, these poor people, and this, that. And they said, yeah, man, the free ride's over.
Wasn't exactly super happy about taking in 3 million people and likely giving them all kinds of aid and stuff for years and years because their country wasn't a giant.
Then why not just make them citizens, I guess? Like, why not just give them a path to citizenship, and that way they can, like, get a job and all this other stuff? Like, why not give them a pathway then? But okay, whatever.
Civil war, and they probably time to go. So these people are kind of stuck right in the middle. It's a pretty messed up situation when you really think about it that way. It's not as simple as it sounds on paper.
Wait, you're telling me people who left the country to another country, they may not have left for simple reasons? Whoa, man. Now, if only there was, like, a situation like that in America, correct? I mean, come on. This dude is insane.
Just by thinking about it.
This is not...
So,
I think
wonder
this is
what's
fake
going to
concern
happen
from
here.
him.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu
It's very easy
has
to say
given
this when it's
reaffirmation
not
that
happening
the
in your own
incursion
country,
is
but it's like, you know,
temporary
come
and has
on.
denied concerns of a land grab.
That's the other thing, too. So now, go back. Okay, so I go back, but now all of a sudden Israel starts pounding us with missiles and shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I thought the war was over. Why is Israel
The civil war is over. Israel is Israel. They're I mean, come on.
still hitting us with missiles? I thought they didn't like Assad. Oh, well, they you know...
No, they
Here's the
want
next
they want the
excuse.
land.
Right? So,
Israel is
a lot of shit
whatever.
going on over there. And is it safe? Is it not? I
Very
really do feel bad
volatile.
for these people because at this point, who knows what to believe?
What to believe? What to believe?
And this is definitely something to monitor. Like, what's going to happen with Assad now that he's in Russia? Will he retain any kind of prestige or power, or is he just gone for good now? You know, what's Russia going to do about it? Because Russia liked having that foothold in that part of the world. Again, it gave them a big military presence over an area that they needed. They liked that. And now they're losing that literally overnight. So what are they going to do about it? You know, Russia has been pretty warmongering recently.
Yeah, only
you know,
Russia,
and,
right?
You know, maybe they're going to take this opportunity to say, well, you know, if Israel's pounding them from one direction, maybe it's our chance to sneak in. I don't know. You know, I don't know.
Wow.
Russia already has been stretched really thin in Ukraine and has had massive difficulties
this
over
is
there actually winning anything.
a wild
so
take.
probably not. But at the same time, who knows? I don't think that Vladimir Putin is definitely the most logical-minded dude. He, you know, with the way he acts. So I don't know. I guess we're gonna see. Anyway, so that's the crazy situation going on over in the Middle East. So how do I feel about it? Honestly, I mean, this is a situation where I'm just getting caught up with these kind of world politics. You know, I don't really know that much about them. You know, this week as this was all going on, I was trying to read up and get.
Man,
an
imagine
education on
if
all
you
of it.
ended up talking about the Palestine.
You gotta feel for the people
and
who are in the
Israel
middle.
conflict. Oh
You know,
God,
you really do. Like, those refugees are the people who I'm thinking about right now. Like, man, their lives have been thrown for a loop for a long time. And that's the people who you got to wonder, really, like, what's going to happen to them? Are they going to be okay if they get back to the country? How realistically, how quickly could they even do that if they've already set up new lives in Turkey, not knowing that any of this was ever going to end? I don't know what's going to happen with those poor people. Now, someone just asked me, what do I think about Israel in this situation? Well, with Israel, it sounds to me,
oh man,
right? Like,
right?
they basically already knew that there was these big weapons in Syria that posed a giant threat to Israel. That if ever there was a world conflict or whatever, that they absolutely would have had all of these weapons that were a huge danger. So they probably wanted to get at them the entire time, okay, and couldn't. So now it's like they're opportunists. That's what it sounds to me like. Israel 100% are
Oh boy.
opportunists. They're going to
Yeah.
take that advantage whenever they can. Ha! Catch them when their pants are down. Now
But-
that country's
But they've been bombing them like way before this even happened though. Israel has not been like a peaceful little country. They've been doing shit. Come on.
defenses are down because of the overthrow of that government.
Oh.
Take out those weapons we've wanted to take out the entire
Like,
time.
he just read all these articles where it said like Israel's been like bombing them regardless, and they were just saying, oh well, now it's a new government, so we don't trust them with that, so we're gonna keep bombing them. So it's like obviously they were gonna do it anyway. So this isn't like they just now started, and he's acting as if they just started. But okay.
But we couldn't. Now we can do it, right? So I get it, but at the same time, does that really feel like an act of good faith? Like, okay, so we didn't
There's been nothing good faith how Netanyahu's been acting. I like, come on.
like Assad in power. He really was a threat. Now he's out of there, but now all of a sudden, even though we have new people in power, we're not even going to give them a chance or a benefit of the doubt. We're just going to pound their weapons and make sure they don't have them. Because that's even what they said. We want to be sure that these weapons are not falling into the wrong
excuse,
hands.
whatever.
So what they're
okay.
essentially saying is we don't trust these people that just overthrew Assad either. We don't trust Assad. We don't trust you. We don't trust anyone in Syria, apparently. Right? We're just going to go ahead and get you anyway. So, some people could argue that's warmongering, is it not?
It is warmongering. It's fucked up. Like, dude, come on. Like, goddamn,
Or is it
man.
smart? Maybe it's smart.
Maybe it's smart.
Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they
Oh, this is bad. Bad take
they've
alert.
been to this
Oh my
rodeo
God.
before, and
Let
they've
me- let
seen
me
these
just-
governments get overthrown. And like I said, here comes the new boss, same as the old boss. Maybe they're of
Bad
the
alert. Bad
mentality
take.
that sadly this isn't going to change anything, and it's just going to take a little while to put a new group in power, and then boom, they're going to go ahead and they're going to start doing the wrong things again. So better to diffuse the situation and make sure there's
How is it diffusing the situation by bombing them though? That's not diffusing. That's escalating because what are they gonna do? How do you think Syria's gonna react to Israel bombing them? I mean, come on. It's not hard to imagine that Syria's gonna like respond in anything but peaceful to this. Like, dude, it's not de-escalating or diffusing or anything. Like, this has been a constant issue with Israel because it's just look at look at the track record of what's been going on with Israel lately, and it's very clear that this isn't them diffusing a situation. It's very clear what they want. Come on,
no
dog.
threat than to leave that threat there and just trust a new group of people. So you could see it from different perspectives, and I think honestly, it's really what your perspective is. If you live in Israel, you probably think that they're doing exactly the right
Oh my
thing.
God.
Right? This is exactly what we need to do.
Sure.
They're doing the best for everyone in the region because that country's been so
What?
destabilized for so long.
Oh
This
my
is
God,
absolutely
dude.
the right thing to do.
Oh,
But you might be
I
someone on the
can't.
outside situation looking in and be like, wait a minute.
they're doing what's best for the
Who
whole
gave them
situation
the
by
right to
bombing
just
and having
attack the
innocent
new group? They
bystanders getting
literally
caught
just
in
won
the
their power.
hellfire. Okay,
They
dude.
overthrew the government that everyone thought was bad. And now all of a sudden, you can attack them too? And they keep doing it. Oh, we assure you it won't be indefinite. We're gonna yeah, but you already are kind of overreaching. That's why NATO is saying to them, or not NATO, the United Nations, they're saying, what are you doing? Stop right now. It ain't right. This is a new group now, you know? So
They should, well,
and that's the
yeah.
thing, like I cured it what my brain says, well, destroying the weapons prevents it being used later. If no one gets hurt during the strike, I'm okay with it. There is 0% chance that no one got hurt during the
Man.
strikes. Zero.
Man,
You
I
know that
agree
there's
with-
people
man,
there. They
what a
just
dumb
took the
take.
country over. They
So,
probably have
like,
people
again,
there.
like if you're attacking another country's means of defense, like, just think about the implications of that. Like, you could say, well, it's to like make sure they don't attack anyone else, but what's gonna stop them from attacking? You know, like it just isn't it's not like it's this is not gonna end well for anyone because you're attacking another country. Like, you know, at some point you're gonna have to ask yourself when is it okay for them to defend themselves? You know, like if you like, come on, like, dude, just oh my god, I can't believe this. Can't believe this fucking
Defending these
story.
missiles or whatever, and they're dead. You know, anytime there's a missile
Like,
strike, anytime that there's a
I will say, out of these news stories, this probably isn't the worst take DSP could have. But I think the only issue with this is that he doesn't have like a lot of like knowledge. Like what he's saying is not necessarily like harmful or whatever, but it's just like he's you could tell very easily he doesn't understand the conflict or the issues that's been going on in that region all the way outside of like the buzzword stuff, you know, like
an attack or an incursion, there's death involved.
You know, like,
it's not,
I don't know.
Oh, we such a precise strike. We only disabled the missiles. Nothing else was.
At best, it's a nothing like take, and I guess that's the best we can hope for from DSP.
You know what I'm saying? So
that is the best we can hope for.
Me, this is my first dipping my toe into the lake of crazy world politics, of world, you know, incursions and things. So, will this new group be better than the last? You got to hope for the best, right? You have to. You have to hope for the best, at least. I would hope that these people are well-intentioned and what they're saying is true. No, now we're a democratic republic. Now the people will have the power. We've overthrew, you know, that government that was really bad for everyone and didn't care about people's opinions and people's well-being. You got to hope for the best. Sometimes, though, you know, hoping doesn't really amount to anything. I guess this has got to be...
I love that he's saying this. When Trump was elected, he was telling everyone to just shut up and hope for the best, basically. Like, he isn't a president yet, and you're already freaking out, guys? Guys, Trump derangement syndrome. But now, with this, it's like, guys, I don't know if you can hope. I mean, bad things can happen. So, he's more concerned about this than... But when people are concerned about Trump being president, he mocks that. Okay, man, cool.
Be a very careful watch on this region to see how these people start behaving. You know, the fact that Russia took Assad in leads you to believe that Russia probably is not going to be good with this group. Turkey, though, seems like they just want them gone. Like, enough. We've had enough of your conflict. We just don't want to be involved anymore. Get the hell out.
Oh my god, dude. The thing literally said, like, look, the civil war has wrapped up. We've only accepted these refugees because of it. Now that it's over, we can send them back now. And that's it. That's all they said. And he's saying all this other stuff, but whatever.
Get everyone out. We don't want to be wrapped up in your crap any longer.
All right.
Okay. So, folks, that is our second major story of the night. I'm just going to briefly, I want to stretch my legs. And his acquittal that people submitted, description of the stream, appreciated. We'll have to see what happens, okay?
All right.
That's simple. Gifts, 20 subs on this channel. I will give you both the VIP badge for 25 subs on this channel, and then it's time for the...
Very pathetic. Oh my god, this angle is... He has such unflattering angles, it's so funny. I've never seen a single person have this many unflattering angles. Like, he should not be doing this. Like, he should just pick up his phone and, like, go to the other side, like, away from the camera, not go on and just do this. Like, this is not a flattering look there, Mr. Burnell. Oh, and then he leaves the room. He leaves the room. He has left the room.
Show?
He's left the newsroom.
Very bright. Guys, you guys could calm down a little bit. Encouraged to keep... It seems like originally there was tons of support, and now it's gone away.
Good.
I've been doing much better on gameplay streams, so, you know, unless you guys don't care about this...
If he ends up canceling this, I predict, like, a month maybe... He's gonna toxify this and say, see guys, every live you do post, I knew it wasn't gonna work. As you can see, I'm making more money doing gameplay. So, see what I'm talking about? He's gonna do like that kind of shit.
That you've asked me to do for years and years, and I personally set up per your requests. You know, then...
But those people left, though. And you're doing it on
some people
Kick.
are of the impression that if I streamed it on YouTube, it would do better. I don't believe that. I consider this like similar to the old React show. If I did it on YouTube, also no one would support that either. I mean, I'm being honest. Yeah, I think that it would have some people here, but no one would be giving super chats or memberships or anything either.
By the way, the reason why he's not streaming this on YouTube is because he believed that he couldn't be political on YouTube. And then you listen to the takes, and it's like, yeah, he wouldn't be banned for this. It's not like, it's really weird that he decided to make this a kick-only stream, and there was like really no reason for it to be a kick-only stream, other than I don't know.
So I don't know.
Yeah, even he doesn't know.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, are we ready? It's time for the third. All right, everyone. So, folks, this is
insane to me. We're talking about a thing that happened last year, and DSP decides, I'm gonna go to Wikipedia. Yes. Wikipedia. Great place to get context.
that has been going on.
This is really the vibe of a college student that doesn't want to do actual research, and they just get their news from their research from Wikipedia. Now, on the flip flop, I can understand like you're to use Wikipedia as a jumping off point, because they do cite where they got their information, like in the citations on the bottom, and you can go to the links there. And I think that's what people should do if they're gonna use Wikipedia. They should do that at least. Not just read what's on Wikipedia itself, but to go to like the citation part and go to the sites there and get and read there and go from there. Like, Wikipedia itself isn't the problem, but DSP doesn't like do that, so you get this.
On for over a year. It's been a very hot topic in United States politics for various different reasons.
Do you know why?
And at this point,
I'm just gonna tell you, he does not. I don't think he truly understands why it's as loaded of a topic as it is, because there's a lot of like factors in this. So, again, it's not an easy discussion if you're just doing very surface level stuff like DSP.
We have a big change, a big update and resolution this week, and this country once again is being divided because of it. Let's talk about the case of Jordan Neely and Daniel Penny. On May 1st, 2023, in New York City, Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old homeless American man, was killed after being put into a chokehold by Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old United States Marine Corps veteran. So, Penny, just this week, was found not guilty of a charge of criminally negligent homicide in relation to Neely's death, and a charge of second-degree manslaughter was also dismissed. Neely's death prompted protests and a broader debate around Penny's actions and Neely's circumstances. Now, what we need to do is we need to analyze what happened that day. And now that over a year has passed, a lot of information has been gathered, discussed, and brought up in the trial that we can finally analyze. And I'm going to tell you by the end of this story my conclusions, because what you're going to see is his
conclusions are wild. Again, like, I can understand if people would say like, look, Daniel Penny did this because of what's been for the well-being of the people of the subway, etc., etc. I could at least understand that, but the way that DSP approaches this, it's really bad. It's just not good. To put it lightly.
Some people saying this case never should have been brought to trial. It was unjust from the start. You're going to see groups saying this is complete and utter racism and shouldn't be allowed. We even have the deceased's parents speaking up. Okay, so let's do it. Let's take a look at this case. But before we can, we actually have to listen to the facts of what happened. So here we go. Neely boarded a New York City subway train at the 2nd Avenue station just before it departed and reportedly began screaming that he was hungry, thirsty, he needed a job, saying he was not afraid of going to prison and was ready to die, threatening people. Juan Alberto Vasquez, a freelance
Is it
journalist
really
who
threat?
witnessed
Like,
this
if you're
incident.
saying that you're ready to die, is that really a threat, though? I mean, see, I the way it's described, it to me, it just is like, if I just say I'm ready to die, does that mean I'm threatening you? That just sounds like I'm threatening myself, if anything. But,
Said Neely removed his jacket and he threw it onto the floor. In
Okay,
response
maybe
to
that
which,
part.
other passengers started, backing away, moving away from this guy. What the hell is this guy's problem? He seems like he's out of his mind. Vasquez says he did not witness Neely assault anyone, but other witnesses reported fearing death as a result of Neely's actions.
So this
which
is just
included him throwing trash directly at other passengers.
So this is just people being afraid. Wait, hold on. Where did it say throwing trash? Oh. Neely's actions, which included throwing trash at other passengers and approaching people. Penny then approached. Okay. Alright. I mean, what kind of trash was he throwing?
And
That's what I want to
approaching them
know.
as if he was going to grab them or do something to them.
No, it just said approaching. He just said approaching passengers. Where did they say grabbing people? He added that part. It says throwing trash and approaching people. That could mean anything.
So, after witnessing
Way to add a layer that's not even there. Very, very, very cool.
this going on, Daniel Penny approached Neely from behind and applied a chokehold. Penny maintained that hold after the train reached this stop, because they were on the way to a stop. It was Broadway Lafayette Street. Other passengers held the doors open to prevent the train from moving. So they literally, people saw what was going on. They saw this guy was acting absolutely erratic and crazy. He was literally saying, I need a job, I need food. I don't care if I die, I don't care if I go to jail. And he's throwing shit and he's slamming shut and he's coming at people. So this guy,
I mean, but see, this is the thing that like DSP is gonna just not even address. By the way, the fact that like if you're homeless and you're like feeling the stress of being homeless, you're gonna like not like it's not an easy situation for people, and it's like it's a wider problem, and it's a more like systemic problem, I guess would be the word to describe it. Like there's a lot of things about this that he just doesn't want to talk about. It's just like I don't think you should have covered this story, to be honest, and it just gets worse. It gets worse from
guy
here.
sees this going on and says, I got to put a stop to this. And he comes from behind, he puts him in the chokehold, takes him down. The train stops, and all the people on the train recognize what happened and actually prevent the train from moving so that this thing can be resolved, okay? So, during the chokehold, some bystanders warned Penny about Neely's health. One said, you're going to kill him now, while others helped in holding down Neely until police arrived.
So, see, this is the part. I think, in my opinion, that it was excessive what Daniel Penny did, and I do think that he should have gone to in trouble for it because it was excessive force, and that I don't think that should have been allowed to begin with. But when the thing that I'm confused with about this, why I think it's excessive, honestly, if they had other people holding down Neely as it is, was it really necessary for Daniel Penny to continue the chokehold, or to just like he could have found another way to hold him down? He had to put him in a chokehold to do that. I mean, he already had other bystanders holding him down. Like he didn't have to hold him in a chokehold for however long he held it for, because it was for a very long time, and I can't imagine that amount of time being surviving from that. I just think like there could have been a better way to hold him down than just holding him in a chokehold. I just think, and even like off the bat, hearing chokehold, I don't imagine that being non-lethal, because it's a chokehold. Like, what is the action of a choke? You know, it's not like nothing. So
it seemed like at the scene, people were of different opinions. Perhaps hot on some people's minds were the George Floyd situation from 2020, and the police arrived. So it seemed like at the scene, people were of different opinions. Perhaps hot on some people's minds.
Dude, like I'm sorry, if you're witnessing something like this going on and you're seeing a dude like choking and like all this stuff, you're gonna start being concerned about the person's well-being, etc. Like if you're seeing someone being choked out, you're not gonna sit there and be like, oh wow. So I don't think they were sitting there thinking about George Floyd or all these other things. They were just like looking at a dude being in a chokehold and like gasping for air. Like you're gonna start to be like, dude, you're gonna kill him. Like, and especially like what Neely was doing. Like you could say it's assault or whatever, but these aren't like charges that would give you the death penalty. Like, just keep that in mind. Like he's gonna talk about his other criminal charges. At least from what I recall from seeing some of them, would not give you the death penalty. They will give you time in jail and all this other stuff, but they wouldn't give you the death penalty for that.
With the George Floyd situation from 2020 and didn't want to see a reenactment of that happen, while others realized this guy was acting like a public menace and needed to be restrained until the cops showed up. Vasquez
He was a public menace. He was homeless and he was like going through a mental breakdown because he couldn't get a job and he was at his wit's end. That's not being a menace. That's just like going through a lot of shit that's been going on in life. Like, come on.
The final 3 minutes of the hold on video, which shows Penny applying it for nearly a minute after Neely stopped struggling and went limp. Prosecutors allege the chokehold lasted 6 minutes, while Penny said it lasted less than 5. An unknown amount of time.
That's a huge discrepancy.
Neely,
to say less than 5 when others say it's 6 minutes, that is a huge discrepancy right there.
Department officers arrived. Responding officers stated Neely had a faint pulse upon their arrival. Neely was given the drug naloxone. Excuse me, I'm not a professional. And cardiopulmonary resuscitation by officers at the scene. Shortly thereafter, the New York City Fire Department transported Neely to a hospital. He was pronounced dead. Penny was taken for questioning by the NYPD and released without charge several hours later, but the incident was a national controversy. Critics of Penny joined protests and characterized him as a vigilante, demanded that he be charged, and alleged that he was motivated by racism against Neely and African American. Supporters of Penny defended him as a good Samaritan, seeking to protect other passengers, and some donating money to his legal defense. Did this start to sound familiar?
What?
Did it sound like another story that we covered earlier tonight?
Oh my god, dude. You're really gonna compare a CEO to a homeless person? But he was more like, he felt more bad about the fucking CEO being killed than this homeless person? This is an insane comparison to even like make. It like, oh my god, dude, this dude is insane. I would not make this comparison if I were him. It's completely different. Like, one was yelling in a subway, the other one was in charge. It was a billionaire that profited off of people paying for health insurance and denying their claims.
Given Neely's background of homelessness and mental health issues, the incident also prompted discussion about the treatment of such individuals in New York City.
Look. Imagine being in favor of a homeless man being killed, but defending a CEO. Just wow. Wow, indeed.
A medical examiner determined Neely's death to be a homicide by compression of the neck, which was later disputed by Penny's defense lawyers. On May 11, 2023, Penny was charged with second-degree manslaughter.
You think at least, right? DSP would be sympathetic to the person who like, if he's gonna be sympathetic about the CEO that died, right? And say, oh, it's murder and this and that, then why doesn't he feel the same? Oh, because he was yelling in a subway, throwing trash? I mean, that, like, dude, it's New York. I mean, I'm sure they've seen a lot of crazy shit, but come on. You can at least say both is bad or whatever.
Manslaughter and released on bond. He was formally indicted by a grand jury the next month. Additional lesser charge of criminally negligent homicide added a few weeks later. Penny pleaded not guilty to both charges, under which he faced 15 years in prison. 2 men showed in Vasquez's video helping Penny to restrain Neely were not charged. Penny's trial began in October 2024 and concluded in December. The manslaughter charge was dismissed on the request of the prosecution after the jury deadlocked, and while he was acquitted of the remaining charge of criminally negligent homicide, a wrongful death sued by Neely's father remained pending as of December. So, we know the facts. Okay?
On Wikipedia.
At least we know a summary of the facts.
On Wikipedia.
Now, the thing here that everyone is talking about is, in this situation,
we're just scrolling
first
around.
of all, let's just get the elephant out of the room. Earlier tonight, we talked about the case of Luigi, who murdered the CEO of UnitedHealthcare. Okay? That was an outright murder, done on purpose, pre-planned, made 3D printed gun, outright done to end someone's life. Okay? In this case, I don't think, at least from anything we just heard, it doesn't sound like Daniel Penny just decided out of nowhere, hey, today I'm going to put a chokehold on someone and murder them.
Man, like, okay, this is gonna sound whatever. Bear with me on this because I read this like years ago, but a lot of people like when they talk about like a lot of like racist fueled and this and that. It's not necessarily that Daniel Penny was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill all these people or whatever the fuck, but it was. But there is I don't know. I don't remember how to describe it. Like a I guess a bias or a prejudice that you perceive, like, you know, you may not perceive or fear from certain people, but then like you see a black person yelling, you may racially perceive that to be more violent than what actually is going on. I don't know. I can't think of the word to describe it accurately, but that's what I've been hearing, like going around here and there about stuff like this, where it's like, you know, sometimes people feel like I can't yell because I yell, they're gonna think I'm like have violent intent behind it or something. Like they're gonna think I'm unhinged if I yell, which meanwhile if they yell it's not unhinged or whatever. Like there is like that kind of stigma around it, I guess. And I think that's what a lot of people are like approaching with or addressing, is that like, would Daniel Penny have the same fear or reaction if this was a white person yelling on the subway? Like there's all these other instances that you can say that, well, would this be the same if it went this way or that way? And you could argue with that, like saying, well, there's a lot of woulda, couldas, or like what ifs about this, and all that, which is fine. I just think, to me, I think you could just argue simply that this was excessive force, and you should just look at this as that. You know, I feel like, I guess I'm saying like the racial claims are speculative, and you can like make a case about it, but you know, Daniel Penny, I just want to keep this in everyone's mind, wasn't on trial for being racist. He was on trial for killing Daniel Penny. Oh my God, Daniel Penny was on trial for Jordan Neely's death. That's what he was there for. He wasn't there for being racist. He was there for the murder, and all this. The racist claims are just more about general criticisms of how things play out, if the roles were reversed, or if the victim was a white person or whatever. Like it's a lot more nuanced, I guess, with these claims of racism and how people look at a situation a lot of the times. It's not that easy or clean. You know, and again, DSP says that life isn't black and white and this and that. And he's approaching this very black and white attitude, which I don't think is like reasonable. Like when this stuff kind of goes around, I kind of want. I usually went from like I just want to hear from the police and that's it, and I would not like look at other people's responses to this. But over time, I kind of found it more worthwhile to just see what both sides are saying, and then just kind of like seeing where I land with this. And I did read an article about this earlier this week because he kept talking about it. So I was like, well, I wonder what's going on with this. And I read a little bit about it. And I do think that what Daniel Penny did was excessive. And I do think that we should establish that excessive force should not be should be punished, because if this was a life that you could have not killed, then do that. Like I felt like he could have restrained him without the chokehold. He had other people already holding him down. Like he could have just held him down like another way at that point. Like and you could argue, well, it's the heat of the moment and this and that, and I guess that could be the case. But you have other people saying that you're killing him, he's gonna die, and this and that. Like, you know, it's so I do feel it's a very like loaded situation. But let's have DSP explain it to us.
In the middle of a New York subway. It doesn't seem like what happened. A little different situation here. In this situation, we had a person by the name of Jordan Neely who was acting all this time completely erratic, homeless, okay? Just,
Yeah,
out
are
of
you
his
gonna?
mind. Was he on drugs?
Oh my
Was he
god,
just
dude!
crazy because he's homeless and
This
hungry?
dude.
We don't know. But he's literally
Was he
on the
crazy? Was he
subway
homeless?
station,
Was he on drugs?
freaking out in the subway car, coming at people, saying, I don't care if I live or die. I don't care if I go to prison. He's nuts. And in this case, it sounds like someone here has gotten to a situation where he's going to hurt someone. Like, at least people believe it. Why else are people are backing off? People are like, no, leave me alone. And he's coming after people. All right? So,
Whatever. Okay.
Daniel Penny, a Marine veteran, says, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. I want to help these people around me who are now in danger. Perhaps he didn't feel himself as much in danger, being that he was a 24-year-old Marine. He's trained to defend himself. But he sees that this guy's coming after other people in the train car. He says, I got to do something. Okay? So he steps up and he puts him in the chokehold. And it wasn't just him. Other people saw and helped him hold him down in the chokehold. So apparently there was enough
need to be in the chokehold though?
in the car that this guy was crazy and was going to hurt people.
Okay.
Right? So this is not, the one
How
guy.
was he gonna hurt people? He was just screaming and just throwing trash. Now it says throwing trash at passengers. Was he actively hitting them, or was it just in their vicinity? Like he was throwing trash at the walls, on the floor, whatever, in their direction. But again, like these are things that wouldn't necessarily give you the death penalty. Like, I got bit by a dog. I'm gonna talk about the dog, right? And I didn't know that if you could report that to the police and they would have to euthanize the dog. I didn't want to do that because it's like, look, it's a dog. I mean, he probably thought I was a trespasser or whatever, and it bit me. Like, I was more mad at the owner than the dog, but it was like, that's it. Whatever. Luckily, it didn't get like a tendon or anything like that, so I'm still able to use my arm. But it was. I wouldn't want the dog to be killed for that because it's like, look, as far as I'm concerned, there wasn't a lot of harm to it. There wasn't anything bad that came of that bite that was awful. It was just painful, and I wish it didn't happen. But it wasn't anything that was like, okay, we got to put the dog down. Like it was just no, let's leave the dog, let the dog be. It's the owner that's the problem, not the dog. And the owner did apologize, whatever. So I was like fine with it, and then I left because it was the end of the party, obviously. But that was pretty much it. It was just like, okay, yeah, this and that. This is like, a person like this was like having a mental breakdown, and they should have just found a way to restrain him that wasn't lethal, like with a chokehold. Like he was already on the ground at that point. He could have released the chokehold and just kind of like restrained him another way, like maybe like hold him down, like lay on top of him, like just hold around his like his chest or something, or whatever. Like at that point, you might as well just do that instead of just like, okay, let's keep the chokehold going.
It was a group of people acted together to restrain this man. Does it sound like Daniel Penny was actively trying to murder him? Probably not. It's unfortunate.
But it was excessive, though.
Or excuse me, that Jordan Neely did die. I don't know where I got Lance from. That Jordan Neely did die. That's sad. No one, obviously, in this case should have died, but it happened. And then he went to trial for it. Should he be held accountable for his actions? Okay. Now, the jury deadlocked, but essentially at the end of the day, they said they cannot get this guy for these charges. There's not enough evidence to say that he was responsible.
What? But
that's that. Now, let's take.
But he had him in a chokehold, though. Oh, okay. Yeah, not enough evidence.
Opposing views of the situation. Unjust from the start. The case against Daniel Penny should never have been brought. So, New Yorkers concerned about public safety are breathing a sigh of relief after a Manhattan jury acquitted Daniel Penny of criminally negligent homicide in the May 2023 death of Jordan Neely. Aside from small groups of far-left agitators calling for Penny's head, many observers seem skeptical from the get-go of Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg's effort to imprison Penny for physically restraining Neely, who burst into a New York City subway car in the midst of a psychotic episode and began threatening and menacing riders. Public skepticism was well-founded. Prosecutors should never have brought this case in the first place. Neely was a repeat criminal offender. He racked up 42
Whoa.
prior arrests.
What was he arrested
including
for?
assaults on women on the subway. He had a documented
Whoa.
history of serious mental illness, worsened by repeated drug use. This isn't to say, of course, he deserved to die. It is to say that Neely fit the definition of a ticking time bomb. Instead of being put in jail or compelled to enter an inpatient psychiatric care facility, he was permitted to roam the streets. This was a choice, which means that the situation in which Penny and his fellow commuters found themselves in May 2023 was the byproduct of the government's failure, one of many such failures, lest we forget about Ramon Rivera's alleged stabbing spree last month. This is not even like a rare occurrence, folks. In the United States, especially major metropolitan areas, this kind of story is actually becoming common. Someone is mentally ill. Someone is on drugs. Someone is a repeat offender criminal. They get arrested. They get thrown in jail. Revolving door. Tossed right the hell back out. They do
But, you know, like... Okay.
it again. In, out.
In, out. In, out.
What kind of a justice system do we have?
But, like, you can't, like, really send someone to go to, like, therapy, I guess. I mean, it's not easy, because a lot of people will assume that people are faking it to get away with crime and this and that. Like, there's all this stuff that's going on, but it is a very, like, systemic issue that, you know, we haven't like figured out. We have a homeless crisis, a mental health crisis, all this stuff, and it's not easy to deal with on many levels, because it's like, well, we can't do this for free because it will come out of the taxpayers' money. Like, this is why I would argue, like, our taxes should go to helping people like this, like homeless people and all this and that. Like, if we have a more socialist systems like this, it could go a long way, or at least just go into like healthcare. If you had taxes that go and to the benefit of healthcare and let people get the healthcare that they need, I would much rather have that happen. I would much rather my taxes go to healthcare that people can actually use than wherever it's going now.
I'm not even saying in this case, okay? I'm not even saying that in this case, this is like, oh, they didn't do anything for him. In this case, they probably did.
It just said that the government failed him because they didn't put him in those places to get the help he needs. He just read this. It told him that the government did not encourage him to go to these places, and he's gonna argue that the system isn't the problem here. Okay.
Probably offered him, here's some housing assistance.
How do they? Again, he just read it that the government didn't give him the encouragement for that, or whatever the fuck. It said that it didn't do that for him.
Here's this, here's that. The problem is, in this country, if you're a repeat offender, okay, why is there no actual accountability for your actions? You know what they say, fool me once, shame.
But the thing is, on the other hand, when you have an arrest record, you can't get a job. So think about your Jordan Neely, right? You have 42 arrest records on file. If you try to apply for a job, they'll see that right in the background check. You're not getting a job with that. So what was he supposed to do? Lie? And then he'd get in trouble for that. So the way that our system holds people accountable is that these are things on your file. But if you get an arrest record for any reason, be it drugs, petty drugs, whatever, that will follow you when you apply for a job. So some people may not even be able to get a job because of that. And DSP just kind of just doesn't either know that or doesn't want to address it. Like, that's I'm willing to believe that's the case. I mean, sure, you could argue that there's some places that will lend out, but some of these cases that, you know, some people fall through the cracks. I mean, we don't have an airtight system for a lot of people who are coming from prisons to get back into society. It's very hard sometimes. But we're not gonna like address that, I guess.
Shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. This guy's a 42-time offender. 42 arrests, and they can't figure out that this guy may do it again, and perhaps it's not the right idea to let him out again into the streets to say, oh, here's some housing, here's this, go do it yourself. Obviously, he can't.
But then think about, but he also doesn't understand that like a lot of the taxpayer money also goes into prisons, so they probably can't afford to jail all these people like in prison. At some point, it's gonna eventually be like, okay, we can't afford all these prisoners here, and with that, and what's the solution to that? Like, these people is probably gonna try to argue in a roundabout way that we should just throw these people in prison for life or whatever, and I don't think that's that's the solution either. I just think that they should probably be able to get jobs. I mean, there's a lot of things wrong. Again, as I said, this is a very broad and long sweeping discussion that a lot of people have on this. And DSP just doesn't I don't know necessarily if he doesn't want it or if he just can't. I don't think he should even bring this up, honestly. He could have just approached this as like, Dale Penny did this for this reason. I do feel bad that Jordan Neely, this should have been an avoidable situation. I think he's excessive force. This, that, like, he could have fenced at this a little bit more than what he landed on.
Fucking do it himself. 42 chances. And the guy's still on the streets. Insane. That's our system. What kind of a system is that? Gee, I wonder why the streets are unsafe. I wonder why we have so many criminals. You know what I'm saying? I really wonder why. This is
this
why.
concern when Trump got all his like court cases indefinitely suspended. What about that?
There's no accountability for actions anymore.
Where's Trump's accountability?
So now,
I agree.
Here he is, threatening all these people on a subway.
How is he threatening?
Says, I have to.
How is he threatening them? Again, he was sitting there saying, "I don't care if I die. I want a job. I'm hungry, whatever." And he was just throwing trash around. That's not really threatening. He's not telling the people on the passenger, "Give me a job or else." He's sitting there just like saying, "I need a job, and I don't care if I die or whatever." Like,
to take action because he's going to attack people, and then you say that's the person who did the wrong thing. Not the
you can even if he approached the angle of Daniel Penny did the right thing by intervening and subduing Jordan Neely. Was it the right thing for him to use excessive force that led to his death? I mean, you don't have to be a abstract thinker to kind of come with the criticism that he should have found another way to restrain Jordan Neely that didn't require a chokehold. Again, he was already on the floor. He had other people holding him down. Was there really a need to hold the chokehold for longer than he did, right? Like, was there even a point to doing any of that when he was already on the floor? Usually, if someone's on the floor and you're on top of them, you're in a dominant position, usually. So I don't necessarily think that he's above criticism, and it's unreasonable to say what Daniel did was excessive. To say that, to mock that criticism, I think is very tone deaf to the situation. Even if you're on the side of Daniel Penny, I think you could agree that it was excessive for what he did.
Person with 42 offenses, but is still free on the streets.
So we're gonna say that if you had 42 arrests, that you should be able to be killed? This dude's morals are fucked up. Because again, as I said, if you look at some of his criminal charges, they don't seem like these are criminal charges that would give you the death penalty. Like, there are people who are abusers and who've been abusive to their partner, and they don't get the death penalty. Should we give them the death penalty now? Is that a death penalty crime? Like, come on.
I kind of feel like there's something wrong with our system here. The Penny prosecution is even harder to swallow given the evidence suggesting the perception of Neely as a threat was reasonable, the decision to restrain him in response was reasonable, whatever one makes of this specific method of restraint, Penny was not trying to kill Neely. He released him as soon as he became aware Neely had lost consciousness and could no longer fight. And that Penny's lack of criminal history, military service, and cooperation with authorities undermine any suggestion.
So can we say that about Luigi then? If we're gonna make the connection here with Luigi, we could just say, well, Luigi was cooperative. He didn't do anything bad, so why charge him? What if Daniel Thompson was freaking out? What if he was yelling around, making people feel scared? What if Luigi was scared? Daniel. Oh my God. What if Luigi was scared? Brian Thompson was gonna do something. What if he was scared? What if Luigi was just walking down the street and you saw Brian and thought Brian was gonna do something crazy? Oh man.
That the public would benefit from his incarceration. So basically, what people are saying here is it doesn't make sense that anyone actually came after this guy to begin with. Seems like everything was always in the right, okay? How about this? Is there any answer to the question of why the DA, the district attorney, went after him, except it was the most politically beneficial move for a DA who didn't want to risk losing his progressive base?
What kind of statement is this? I'm sorry. If something's going on and a person loses their life over, I think the DA should look into that. Like to say, oh, they did this for the progressives, it's a really dumb statement. The DA should have looked into it because a person died. Wouldn't you want to know why that happened? But you're gonna take public statements that say that, like, come on, dude, like, come on. The DA is just doing their job. They should have looked into it just to see what if it was premeditated. We wouldn't have known if there was no investigation. So that's a dumb statement right there.
Election bid. And there you have it, folks. I hate to say it, but we've now focused in on a lot of the issues with our country. We have a justice system, and the justice system is supposed to be universal and treat everyone equally, but it doesn't. Our justice system is very much based on, sadly, progressive values, okay? We have a justice system that someone will have 42 offenses.
Dude, come on, shut up!
And still be let out into the streets. But then someone says, I have to stop this guy from hurting people.
Oh my God.
And they try to put him on fucking trial for murder.
This is insane. Insane. So this is insane. I can't believe he's making this statement. Again, I'm sorry. If there's a situation that happens in a public place and a person dies, I'm not gonna just listen to the people on the train, on its own. And even then, get a load of this. People on the train also said you're killing him and this and that. But we're gonna say it's wrong for the DA to look into this and to potentially go after Daniel Penny as a murderer. I'm sorry, if you just look at what happened, you're gonna say, well, why? Because let's say it didn't go reported. Daniel Penny did not go to court. Nothing happened, right? Then we're gonna say, dude, a dude just killed someone in the subway and no one did anything. Like, there's no investigation. Why is there no one looking to this guy who killed this guy? But he's sitting there, like, reading that, it's like, this is what's going on. The progressives have done it again. But again, the criminal system is it's its own issue. But the crimes that he was arrested for, like domestic abuse or whatever, these aren't crimes that will give you the death penalty. And when someone has 42 arrest record, he can't get a job, which led to his homelessness. There's all these problems baked in to the situation, but he's sitting there and just focusing on why are people so mad at Daniel Penny, man? But we can't ask, wasn't there another way to restrain Jordan Neely without a chokehold? He was already on the ground. People were already holding him down. I don't think he could have loosened the chokehold just a bit. He didn't need to hold him down. Someone couldn't have called the police either. Like, there's all these things that are going on, and that none of that is like crossing his baby brain. He's not asking himself these questions.
Murder. Like, what? Why didn't that guy get 42 offenses? I don't get it. The other guy did.
So now we're measuring people's morals on how many arrest records someone has. With that logic, why isn't he more mad about Trump then? Trump was like convicted, had like how many convictions? Like above 30? Why wasn't DSP upset when all his court cases were indefinitely suspended? Where is his accountability, right? Correct? This dude is not really giving a good like reception to this, and this is probably one of the news stories that you would want someone to be impartial to when you're listening to them. And it's just he's not really having any critical thought as to anything about this story at all. He's just reading this as like, yeah, man, like you're not asking any other questions that are more critical to what you're reading. Like,
so where's his second, third, fourth, fifth, 20th, 30th, 40th chance? A little weird there. Not exactly a...
Did Jordan Neely kill anyone? Did he kill someone? Like, come on.
Equivalent treatment in our system. I was just talking about this a couple weeks ago. Why is it that some people get away with these crimes and everyone just turns a blind eye, but then all of a sudden, every once in a while, you're the case we're going after? Huh? That's not equal justice.
Dude. If that's the case, why is Luigi going to trial then? Oh my god, dude. This is so lame. Whatever.
Right? What's the saying? That justice is supposed to be blind? Justice doesn't care about your race, your gender, political...
So then why isn't he mad? Like, whatever, okay.
Affiliation, any of that.
Okay, justice is blind, right? Okay. So you hear someone died on a subway. A person put someone in a chokehold. What's your reaction to that? You're first gonna ask, did they arrest the guy who choked the other guy out? Then you're gonna ask, why did that happen? And when you listen to the story, you can either say, well, okay, I can see why Daniel Penny went into action. You could think that, or you could say, well, he could have just left him alone because there's really no harm. He's just throwing trash around. I mean, you can just move about your day or whatever. I mean, or is there a non-lethal way that he could have held him down? Then you could also see, well, he was already on the ground. He could have just lessened the chokehold a little bit more because he had other people holding him down with him. So, you can go down a lot of paths with this. But DC just wants to just immediately just blanket all of what Daniel Penny did and say, we should just let him go and he should not face trial at all. I think he should have at least gone to trial. I think it would have been worse, in my opinion. You could say whatever about the acquittal and this and that. I think, at the very least, people should be at least happy that it went to trial, because I think it would have been way worse if nothing happened from this and a dude just died. And we just accepted that. That would be insane to me. But again, there's a lot of ramifications to deal with this that are at play. But again, we're not going to talk about that because DSP doesn't want to think about it. So we're not going to think about it.
It's supposed to be justice. Everyone gets treated equally and everyone has the same treatment in our legal system. That is not the case. And time again, we are seeing this over and over, that there is unequal treatment in our justice system. Just this one case, 42 offenses, still on the street free, acting crazy, threatening people. First offense, only trying to protect other people, put him on trial.
Again, what is the crime? All Jordan Neely did was yell and throw trash. Daniel Penny killed someone. Again, if you just look at that, just look at those two things. What do you think is worse? Like, this is incredibly childish. To not even understand that it doesn't matter that Jordan Neely had 42 arrest record, or he was in prison for 42 times, or had 42 arrests, whatever. What were the crimes that led to that? So far, I heard that he was arrested for drugs and domestic violence. These aren't crimes that give you the death penalty. What Daniel Penny did, normally you would think if you kill someone, you're gonna get the death penalty or a life sentence. Usually. So why are we leveraging these as equivalent? They're not equivalent. Killing and just doing drugs or selling drugs or whatever is not the same. You could say that the action of violence is the same, I guess, but did Jordan Neely kill anyone? Again, if he killed someone, there you go, but he didn't, as far as I understand, because if he did, he probably would have gotten a life sentence, I'd assume.
For murder. What the fuck are you talking about? What kind of a system is that?
But I guess you could argue the technical term of murder and this and that, but
In
he
this
killed
case,
someone, though. Come on.
This person believes it's self-defense. The guy did the right thing. Let's look at the other side of this factor, shall we? Here we go.
I wonder if it's
this
like...
is a Black Lives Matter leader.
I think... Whatever.
Now joining this man on his political show. What does she think about this situation after his acquittal? And here he is having celebratory drinks. Okay.
So do you not blame Jordan Neely at all? I mean, for what he did? He
deserves
no blame from your perspective,
station?
right?
Jordan Neely being the man with 42 offenses in the subway, going crazy, threatening people. I don't even have to say anything yet.
Oh my God.
No blame from your perspective, right?
Jordan after his acquittal, and here he is having celebratory drinks. Okay.
So do you not blame Jordan Neely at all? I mean, for what he did? He deserves no blame from your perspective, right?
Jordan Neely
Man, I don't like the tone of this interview because it's already kind of like, man, it is
42 offenses
something.
In the subway, going crazy, threatening people. I don't even have to say.
And this is again callous from DSP because again, you're ignoring his mental health and just saying, well, he's going crazy, so I mean, he died. So we should just allow that to happen. Well, okay, man.
Anything yet? Just take a look at her.
What if someone gets scared of cat and then something happens to her, right?
Face.
Well, listen to how he asked the question. He's like, so you think this, right? You think that he should that there's nothing wrong with him, right? There's that he's completely innocent and he did nothing wrong, right? Like that's kind of like an instigative question. It's just like, I mean, I don't know. I don't really I have a bad vibe from this news station, especially the thing this news nation. I never heard of this network at all. So I'm kind of very skeptical about the fucking news I'm getting from this.
I literally don't even have to say a word. Look at her face. She's about to answer,
man.
and look at what contortions her face are having right now.
And you know what he's saying this about her, right? But if people did that to him, which people have, he would mock them and say that, oh, you're analyzing my face? Wow, you're fucking mentally ill, man. You know what you're talking about. Yeah, analyze my face. And then he's just analyzing her face. And this is just a pause. Like, dude, shut up. He shouldn't be doing this at all. This is fucking trash.
Yeah. Holy shit. Look at the contempt. Look at the scorn on her face.
Wow.
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 Okay, let's continue.
Did you hear the witness testimony?
I'm asking
or
you a question.
Are you cherry picking the ones?
I'm asking you a question. Do
Then she doesn't hear the witness testimony. I mean,
you blame Jordan Neely at all for his conduct?
If Jordan Neely was a white man, we'd be saying it was an opioid crisis. He was hungry. He was mentally ill.
It was a what?
oh my God. And then he does the fucking meme.
An
Opie?
OBY crisis?
OBY crisis? Man, dude, fucking eat a brick.
I don't know what that means.
What does that mean? By the way, I love he has subtitles on, but whatever.
I don't know what that means. So.
What does that
He had a
mean?
muffin in his pocket.
I wouldn't be if there were other.
He had a muffin in his pocket. Man, that is scary. What's he gonna do with the muffin?
What about the witnesses? Let's play again, just so we're clear on the race.
Play Eddie Gibson, who begged Daniel Neely to stop.
Oh, again, but he stayed there throughout the incident.
Play the ones that fit the narrative.
See what I don't like about this? Like, it's not really a great interview because it's just two people like arguing, and I don't know. I don't think he should be getting clips from News Nation. Just saying, if you're gonna talk about this story, I would probably stick with news outlets that are reputable. I don't think News Nation is reputable. I just don't think so.
But what's the narrative? There's black women who were on the subway. It was mostly people of color on the subway.
What about a white man during cross-examination who said that he was afraid of Daniel Penny, the one who poured water onto his head and said that he was afraid? He was a white man.
Yeah, okay, so... And
what about the Latino man who was holding his arms?
I'm not the one identifying everyone by race. You are. You're the one who keeps telling... Why? Why do you have to? There was nothing in this case.
Because when you look at the FBI, when you look at when hate crimes
happen... Like, this is not, like... Again, you have this case. This isn't, like, worthwhile footage to go to. I'm sorry. Again, this story about Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely is a wider issue, and this is tantamount to just finding a random Twitter account that you never heard of and saying, this is where I get my news from. Like, this is a clip, and how is this reputable? I've never heard of News Nation. I've heard of like CNN, NBC, Fox News, I guess. Axios is one as well. All of like he could have found a lot of other places to get news from, I guess. I don't know. It's just this interview is rubbing me the wrong way because it's just two people arguing, and I don't think this is like, if you're covering a story, I don't think this is something you should watch. And it's kind of, in my opinion, it is kind of disingenuous to find this clip as like, this is what the other side thinks. There could have been other people with other opinions that are much more like cool-headed that explain their side better than this. He finds one where the interviewer is argumentative to the interviewee, which is going to naturally cause her to also be argumentative, and you're not going to get anything like interesting. Well, and this is the interview that DSP finds as this is the other side, and I guarantee you the reason why he picked this is because it's a BLM leader, and this is what he wants to focus on. Like, I guess that's an idea, but I don't think this is a good interview to go after, in my opinion. Again, there's other articles to go after, other interviews to find that talk about this. If you're very curious about these kind of discussions, I don't think this is a good one because this is a very argumentative interview already.
When injustice happened to black people,
but let's agree.
Get justice.
Let's agree to some. Look, I'm going to be doing a segment later this week on a missing black woman who has not been getting nearly enough attention.
Send it to me and I'll share the post.
But by the media.
Absolutely.
Because I understand that, and to that degree, you have a fair point about the way sometimes the media and the justice system handles. But not in this case. This case, even the prosecutors conceded Daniel Penny had every right to go hands-on, and the question became, okay, when should he have stopped? I understand that.
The time frame on that from the DA's office was after 30 seconds. Can you not concede that Daniel Penny was a trained killer, that he not have his gray belt? United States Marine Corps isn't an assassin?
Sure, but
he knew. Let me finish.
Every Marine is a trained
because
assassin.
Actually, black Marines and white Marines have reached out and actually told us he went too far.
But going too far is different from criminal.
Let me break it down. A chokehold, a blood chokehold, which he did. You're only supposed to hold someone in that move for 8 to 13 seconds. You're not supposed to do it longer than 2 minutes. Why did Daniel Penny, when the train was completely clear, everyone was on the platform, why did he hold it for nearly 6 minutes?
Because he was scared.
A Marine is scared of of someone he labeled as a crackhead.
Again, is it not possible?
She almost called him a crackhead, and then she said, who he labeled as a crackhead.
DSP never misspeaks, guys. This is really stupid to hold her against like misspeaking when he's the king of misspeaking. Okay.
Dial that back for 1 second. You notice that? She almost realized she called him a crackhead, and then she had to stop and say, "Whoa, who he called?
This is the guy that says, "This game is bad, man." And then he's like, I shouldn't have said that word. I should have said his bad word. Yeah, man, you're definitely worth criticizing someone for doing a similar mistake like that, right? This dude is such a piece of shit, right? Like, this is why, like, this is just the tip of the iceberg of this shit Sunday.
Categorized as crackhead. Damn. Close one. Close call right there.
That Daniel Penny, when he's doing this on the spot, stepping up to help people of many different races, moves in and doesn't have a clock with him to decide when he should stop and when he shouldn't, which is why, in the end, the jury acquitted, right?
No, actually, Daniel Penny was trained very well by the United States Marine Corps, and he knew what the signs were. He knew when Jordan's body was slacking. He knew that Jordan was going to die. Why didn't you show his face, Dan? You're a good man. Of when he laughed and when the first response, I'm critical of the police. We know this, right? NYPD tried to save his life while they were doing chest compressions. Daniel Penny laughed and said chest compressions. A good person, a hero. One last thing. Why did he never ask about the well-being in that police department about Jordan Neely?
So
He was a hero.
You're asking a lot of questions that are sort of rhetorical questions, right? But the ultimate question is, why did the jury acquit? Is it because they're racist?
It's true. You notice what she did? She rapid fire asked a bunch of questions, out of which no one could ever answer. Like, no one could answer any of the questions she asked at all.
Okay.
Because she does it on purpose. So it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. You're asking all these rhetorical or hypotheticals that no one can answer.
But she said, like, he's a Marine. He's a trained Marine. He couldn't tell that he couldn't, like, know the signs of how long a chokehold is. I mean, again, you could argue that it was excessive, and he should have found another way to, like, restrain him. He had other people there helping him. Whatever.
That's her strategy. Because if you ask factual questions, all of a sudden there's a redirect. But then let her pummel you with a bunch of these hypothetical, rhetorical questions to make it feel like she has this argument, right? But let's continue and see the end of this, and then let's keep going.
America is inherently biased.
So the jury is racist.
Have you seen?
I'm asking you a question. No, don't change the subject. Is it because the jury is racist?
Yes.
Okay.
The jurors.
Even the black person on the jury.
Would you like to hear something
Yeah.
from me? I believe that even black people can be anti-black. People are predeceived to see black people as a threat.
So she just thinks that every single person on the jury was a racist, and that's why they saw it that way. I want you to think about this.
Oh, man.
She thinks that because people on a jury said a white man is not guilty of murdering a black man, they are just all racists now de facto. Just because. There's no possible way that there could have been a verdict where the white man was innocent because he murdered the black man. There's no way. They're just immediately all categorized as racists, even the black man that was on the jury. She literally just said that.
Well, she also said that, like, there's a perception of, like, of people being afraid of black people, etc. She did say that as well, if you want to, like, just listen to what she has to say. But again, I don't think this is a fair clip to use to find the other side's point about this. I'm just saying. I think the only thing that she said that I think she brings up a good point about is just the length of time and the excessive force that other Marines have said that they've also criticized Daniel Penny for being too excessive and et cetera, et cetera. Like, she did bring up other points that were actually, like, interesting to think about. And honestly, like, that's probably the only thing you could get from this kind of clip is just, like, at least to look into other aspects of it, of what she's saying and seeing, like, oh, maybe she has a point there. But you don't have to, with everything, you don't have to agree with everything black and white or whatever. But these are things that you could naturally think about. Again, I just read an article on, like, I want to say it was a CNN or the BBC or something like that. I don't remember the article. I'll have to look in my, or no, was it, what was the other one? Oh, I'm blanking on this website. I think it was like AP News. It's something with A. But anyways, I read it there, and they brought up, like, oh yeah, the Marine who trained Daniel Penny said that it was he either said that he used excessive force that he didn't need to use, or he misused a technique or something like that. And I was like, okay, I mean, these are actually like fair thoughts to bring up and fair critiques about the situation. But DSP's gonna just sink the entire point because she said the whole jury was racist, which I think that's a speculative, or just like just a thing people can think that you can't prove. It's another thing you can't prove or disprove.
Okay, then.
As a victim, because people called in. You heard the voice recordings when they called 911. Jordan Neely was in a chokehold for over 4 minutes, turning purple, which black people do in fact do that, and people still saw him as a harm. Even when his body went limp, he was still viewed as a criminal. So I'm sorry if I'm going to defend the needy, if I'm going to defend the poor. Why does no one talk about when Jordan Neely came on asking for water and being thirsty? Why does no one talk about?
Because they're talking, because that's not what happened right here. What happened right here, the reason he was held was not because he was asking for water. It's because he was scaring the heck out of everyone on the subway, which apparently he's done before.
Dan, anyone who has rode the New York City subway has encountered mentally ill people. Why are we not having this conversation?
Scary.
And we don't kill them.
But you know what?
We offer help or we get out of the way.
But more people wish people
them.
would step up more and help and stop people from doing it.
So are you giving a license to vigilantism? Are you saying that we should
not
kill
vigilante.
people? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm
Yeah, this is like a wild.
saying is, you know what I'm saying is, it's very unfortunate. I think Daniel Penny would say it is really unfortunate that he died.
Why didn't he care when he was at the precinct? He showed no remorse.
Because he was defending what he did.
He lied in that defense too. Do you know he told people?
Oh, that's it. So he was defending what he did. Oh, well, he lied in his defense.
But DSP just doesn't understand how a conversation works. Another instance of this, because she said, oh, he has no remorse, etc. He says, well, it's because he was defending himself. So then she responds to that by saying, well, he also lied. He did also lie in his defense. So like, if he was able to lie, why can't he say this or whatever? Like, that's what she was getting at with that. I'm assuming, because he cut her off. It wasn't like, oh, he got a point, gotta answer, gotta throw something else in. But this is how it goes with these kind of conversations. He says something, she responds back and forth, in out, in out, in out.
No. You didn't respond. He gave you a valid response to your inquiry, and now you've already moved on. You're moving the goal.
Yeah, because he said that he was defending himself. What was he gonna say? Like, this need of her to say, wow, you're right, but he also lied in his defense. Like, that, that would be weird. She could have just cut to the chase and said, well, he also did lie in his defense, though, so if you're gonna use his defense as the case, well, he lied in that. But whatever.
I'll push her on another topic. That's all she does. Like, if you listen to anything she said in this entire conversation, it's, so here's a bunch of hypotheticals no one can answer. Okay, well, here's a valid response to what you said. Oh, on to the next. Wait, whoa. I just disproved you. Why are we moving on?
How did that disprove? How?
Okay, so
what?
According to her, just because the jury...
That's not really disproving, because you're just saying, well, he's defending himself. I mean, that's just like how he perceived how Daniel Penny acted. And that's what all this is. This is just them discussing their viewpoints on this. They're not talking it out of like severe facts. They're saying like, well, what about this? What about that? Whatever.
We did. Daniel Perry, they're all racists. It has nothing to do with facts.
Daniel Perry.
It has nothing to do with anything. It just has to do with the fact that they would actually acquit a white man who was accused of murdering a black man. They're immediately all racists.
But she also brought up the point that he seemed to just forget. There are all these other mentally ill people. Why don't they all die? Why didn't they get into a similar situation as Jordan Neely? So Jordan Neely was the only crazy person who yelled? He was the only person that threw trash around? No one else who was homeless and mentally ill did that. Jordan Neely was the first one ever to do it. Okay.
Other outcome that could possibly be. And then, right, she's saying things such as, no remorse. Are you him? Do you know if he felt no remorse or not? The man just went through a crazy...
Did DSP see, like, because she brought up, like, a footage of him, like, laughing or something, or smiling, something like that. I didn't see that, so I don't know. And I had nothing to say to that. Or the defense case. I didn't hear that part either. all this stuff that she's bringing up, he doesn't know either. And he's mocking that. Like, if I don't know something, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, whatever about it. Come on.
Deal. He's got adrenaline running through him. He has to feel confident in the decision he just made, because this could be his future as a free person on the line if people accuse him of doing the wrong thing, But again, we don't have to defend him. But the point is, the arguments she's making are so ridiculous. Okay, like there is nothing there. Now, one final thing.
What about people who have actual arguments, though? What about them?
The actual parents of Jordan Neely speak out. Thank you to KingPhil007, who just gifted a sub tonight. I appreciate that very, very much. Thank you, King Phil. So
now
here
we
are
get
the
to
parents
the
of Jordan
actual
Neely
nonsense.
speaking out on the situation after the verdict was given that Daniel was not guilty. Ready?
I just want to say,
Daniel Penny. Did I say Peely? It's Daniel Penny. Here we go.
I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts.
What? See, this is what I hate the most about this fucking politics show. He has this dumb attitude of like, huh? Oh man, did I hit the mic? Sorry, guys, I'm going crazy. It's like no one wants to sit through that. Come on, dog.
His son didn't have to go through this, and he didn't have to go through this either. Aren't you his dad?
Dad?
So if you're his dad, why was your son on the streets, homeless?
This is really, really, really dumb. And from what I understand from this is that Jordan's family situation isn't exactly like the easiest, like I think I read somewhere that his mother was killed. He was going through orphanages. Like, his dad wasn't really around at all, etc. You can think of whatever about this, I guess, but I think if you don't like family, raising kids, all this stuff is very intrinsically difficult for people, and I think this kind of holding that over people like that DSP does all the time is really, really childish. Like, it just shows a lot of immaturity from him to not understand that, like, there's a lot of challenges that come with all this stuff, and again, Mr. Life isn't black and white. There's a lot of shades of gray. He doesn't really apply that nuance to anything he sees. Like, every politics show, it's always been black and white with him. Never, no nuance allowed.
On drugs, hungry, threatening people.
Jordan Neely was an adult, by the way. He wasn't like a 16-year-old or a 18-year-old. He was a grown adult. How many kids live with their parents? How many adults are being monitored by their parents? Like, it's really insane to think, well, where's Jordan's parents in all this? I mean, like, they have a life too, to begin with. Like, why would his dad still be paying for his son, right? They could be estranged for many reasons. Again, Jordan Neely was an adult that was homeless. Like, you can't expect an adult to, like, pay your life all the way till you die or something. That doesn't make any sense. So him to say, where were you for Jordan? Where were you? And it's like, dude, like, come on.
Getting arrested 42 times.
Why wasn't DSP saying, Hunter, where was Joe? Joe, where were you for Hunter? Hunter was doing coke, and where were you? Joe Biden, where were you? He never did that for Hunter. He was just saying, oh, Hunter is dumb and he should go to jail or whatever the fuck. But Jordan Neely specifically, for some reason, gets the, where was your dad? Where were you for Jordan's life, Mr. Neely? Meanwhile, like, Hunter Biden gets, he doesn't, Joe Biden doesn't get lectured by DSP about where were you for Hunter Biden's life or whatever the fuck. Like, what is this?
Where were you? You motherfucker? Where the fuck were you?
Where?
Now? Oh, it's so sad he went through this. Where were you when he was
This is really, 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 really dumb. Really dumb. Like, dude, you're really expecting Mr. Neely, I'm just gonna call him Mr. Neely, to be involved with Jordan Neely's life forever? Jordan Neely was an adult when this happened. He's talking as if, like, Jordan Neely was, like, a child. Or, like, a fucking 18-year-old. Dude, Jordan Neely was, like, an adult at that point. And he's like, where were you, Mr. Neely? Where were you? So you expected to be involved with his life all the way, and what if he wasn't? Like, come on.
He's going through it. You're his father.
Father!
You're the one who had him. Now,
and this fucking fetish, I'm calling it a fetish. This fetish of, where are the parents? The parents want to be absentee parents. Fucking bullshit. Like, he has such a fetish for saying that. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, dude, he's talking about his son that got killed, and you're sitting there like, where were you? And this, and you can pretty much argue this is racist coming from DSP because there's a racial stereotype of an absentee father, etc., and this kind of propagates that. But this is like me spinning it negatively. But it's very funny that he says this to him, but not to Joe Biden, right?
now, oh, it's so sad he went through this. Where were you when he was going through it? You're his father. You're the
way he says father, man, it kills me. Father!
one who had him. You're the one who was responsible for raising him.
This is really, really stupid, though. Again, life isn't easy, right? Like, come on.
For teaching him how to fend for himself, how to be a mature adult who could get a job, who would be off drugs, who would be a productive.
Again, how does he know that he was involved with his life? How does he know their life situation? And again, you could even assume that, let's say he was involved all the way. How do you know that would happen? Again, like, people are very complex creatures, and we have, and there can be a lot of stuff. Like, this is like saying, how could Hitler be Hitler? Where was his parents? Like, there's a lot of things that go on in life that affect people and how they live, how they interact with everything. Again, this is a very loaded, like, thing, and DSP is just being so dense. And this is, like, not a good take, and it's, like, really disgusting for him to say this stuff without any idea of what their living situation was or their life situation was at all. And even act on top of that, like, if he was there, that this wouldn't have happened. How can he know that? There's a lot of people with like parents that think that they raise their kids right, and then their kid could still be a fuck up. Like, come on.
Productive member of society, someone who wouldn't be arrested 42 times.
Where is his parents? Why didn't his parents teach him how to pay taxes correctly? Why did he go through a bankruptcy? Didn't his parents tell him not to do that? This dude, fuck it, come on.
That was your
his parents told him to get a job within 10 years and he's not doing it. Where were they?
Responsibility. You failed. You're the reason your son is dead.
And then this is extremely stupid and extremely fucked up to tell someone that they're to blame for their son being killed. This dude should be ashamed. He should be ashamed of himself for saying this. Like, this is not a good take at all. Like, again, even if you want to say that what Daniel Penny did was in the best interest of the people of the subway, whatever, and this and that. To not even consider that maybe what he did was excessive or anything that, okay, let listen that. To then just say to someone, again, he doesn't know their life situation, to tell them you're the reason their son is dead is so fucked up. Like, fuck off. And if you see that, if he held his own standards against him, he would get mad at you about it. But to say this, and to have no remorse as to like to any of this is fucked up. He has no idea the pain of loss either, and he has this, and he pretended so hard, right, to be like, oh, I understand. People go through life and it's hard, man. Blah blah blah. It's all fucking bullshit.
Period. You're not a victim.
This dude is such a child. Such a child. He does this stuff and acts so proud of what he said. Like, come on, man.
You're the perpetrator, motherfucker.
How is he the perpetrator? How did he get his son not to get employed? How did he get his son to get 42 arrests? Like, dude, and I guarantee if someone told him, well, he was an absentee fault, he wasn't there for Jordan's life and all this stuff, he would still blame him anyway. But even then, like, does he know why he wasn't there for his son? Does he know his situation? No. No one knows these people's situation. And to make these kind of judgments is dumb if you don't know their situation. It's kind of like not a good look to just be ignorant to make these kind of statements. Like, he shouldn't have brought this up, honestly.
That shit pisses me off. Oh, woe is me, my son is dead. He's your son.
He didn't say woe is me, by the way. He literally said that it's tragic what happened to his son, and it shouldn't happen to him, and it shouldn't, and this, I shouldn't have to go through losing a son, because he went through losing his wife, right? Correct? But whatever, okay.
Son, you're the reason he's dead. You fucking piece of shit.
Really, really hurts.
And it should, because you killed him.
What are we gonna do?
Oh, come on. Like, you know, this dude is sitting there saying, oh, it really hurts and this, that, because he feels bad, for all this, right? Pretty much saying that he feels bad for what happened to Jordan. Okay, a parent can say that. Okay, fair enough. Then he says, yeah, you should. Like, goddamn, man. Like, this dude is awful. Imagine, let's say that you feel bad about something. Oh, I did something bad and I feel bad about it. He'll tell you, yeah, you should feel bad, piece of shit. Like, I don't think that's a thing you should tell people. Like, if they're already feeling it, doubling, like, and this is the fucking guy that says, I'm already feeling bad, and it hurts, and you make me, you compound that. No, you know what? We're going on a field trip. We're going on, It could work, because I think the timestamp is saved. Let's see, DSP, depression. Okay, you know what? DSP reacts. We have to go to his actual dumb fuck channel. Depression. Yes.
Who have depression, where you're in a moment of weakness and your depression, and you look at it after. I remember to me and had previously whatsoever. No, nothing from my phone back then. Extreme depression gets to the point where you know what about myself, how much I. So it was for my job. Didn't want to go on, and that was basically kind of, are other people out. What did those?
I want to find the part where he says the worst thing you can tell someone is that
people did, right? Someone
right.
Who people, right? The ways that I help, oh my God. Point. That's the other thing too. People will blame people. So I heard that someone was depressed and committed suicide. What an awful person to do such a selfish thing. Oh my.
Dude, every time I go back to it, I find a new level of hatred for this guy. Like, this is painfully like just a charade at this point.
God, like, why on this planet do we have to always play the blame game? This is actually something unrelated, but a land of lollipops and fucking. Can we just fucking get past that and fix family members' fault if it does happen and you still feel awful about themselves? And there's nothing you can do. Relative significant disorders they don't cure for a couple days.
It's a very... Number two, if you know someone affected by an issue like depression, don't ever tell them it's their fault. Don't try to tell them it's something else. That's fucked up, the most fucked up thing you could possibly do, and only immature, really fucked up people would do that, and you should be lucky.
Like, it's not exactly the same, to be fair, because he's talking about people who have depression, you shouldn't tell depression this and that, but that sentiment also goes to people who are, like, grieving or just feel bad or guilty about something. Because if they're going through something, like, you don't have to sit there and, like, validate them or whatever necessarily, or you know, whatever. But you also don't need to, like, you know, make them feel worse about it. Because, again, he's talking about what happened to his son, and to sit there and just to double down on a dude that already feels bad, it's, like, not a good look. Not a good look, to put it lightly.
What's going to happen to us now?
To who? To you? You'll go on being a miserable...
He's talking about other people, like other people who are homeless and who may snap or whatever like that, who go on a subway. Like, if they could go down a street. Like, this is the other aspect of it that DSP just doesn't want to acknowledge either. He doesn't even talk about this. Is the precedent that this sets, because what is to say a valid level of fear that to feel in order to do what Daniel Penny did, right? Like, if someone goes down the street and says, I'm scared for my life and I had to kill him, like, how do you measure that? How can you say that's like an accurate thing to say or whatever, right? Like, he doesn't get the slippery slope that may have.
Wretch for the rest of your life who should be riddled with guilt that your son is dead because you're a horrible person.
By the way, DSP tells us he doesn't dance on people's graves, he doesn't celebrate people's misery, and what is this? Celebrating people's misery. And you know, it's very telling that he has no remorse for Jordan Neely's situation, right? He was homeless. He had 43 arrest records, and he didn't get the help he needed. Instead, he wants to blame Jordan Neely, it seems, because he reads an article that says that the system that Jordan Neely was put through never sent him to these places that would help him. They never did anything to help him at all. They failed him. That's the article he read, by the way. And DSP said, well, they probably gave him that, and he said no. But that's not what the article he read even said. So he already didn't want to admit that maybe the system failed him and all other problems. Didn't want to address that. He then starts to like say that, in a way, validate or support what Daniel Penny did because of all these other circumstances. But if he's gonna like shit on the father, like he like, where's this take on Jordan Neely then, right? Like, shouldn't he feel bad that he didn't get the help he needed? There's this homelessness crisis going on. People who are mentally ill are not getting the help they need. They need all this stuff. He's not addressing that. He's saying, well, we shouldn't have DAs go after people like Daniel Penny, regardless. Even though that's a terrible thing to say, because I think anything that involves someone losing their life should be investigated. But anyways, he belittled that notion of like, why would a DA investigate this, even though they should. Why should they investigate this? People should just let Daniel Penny go regardless, even before the trial, which is like, again, it's insane because that leads a very bad precedent to what's going on. These are like real things that you could think about, and DSP doesn't, and it's just look at what the story is and just think it as a child. Like, this dude should not be doing politics. If this is how he takes things, no one should listen to him. It's just very uninformed, and he goes to bad sources. Again, that News Nation I don't think was a good source to go after. I get why, but I don't trust that News Nation at all. That interview, I didn't have a good vibe from it, and I wouldn't listen to it. Like, even like, regardless of who you believe, that interview, I don't think it was a good interview to even go after that was interesting. It was just two people arguing, and it's like you're not gonna learn anything from that. You're not, and it's just not worthwhile having. It just wasn't a good interview, to be honest. And I wouldn't have used that in my politics show.
Person and a horrible father. That's what's gonna happen to you now.
No one deserves to be choked to death.
That's correct. That I will agree with 100%.
I don't know. I love he says that. I love that he said that, because when you read it and it said, well, the DA was going after Daniel Penny to investigate this, he was like, why should they do that? Daniel Penny was doing this as a servant or whatever the fuck, blah, blah, blah. But now he's against this. Where was this when you read that article then, buddy?
No, we're in that courtroom and people are cheering.
Yes, because they didn't want a man who didn't actively want to kill someone to go to jail for murder. That's correct.
For the verdict.
But he choked someone who died. Who was dead by the chokehold. Oh my god, okay.
Correct. Because they said they thought it was the right verdict. That's right.
The loudest noise.
And then this attitude, it's so shitty, man. This dude sucks. She's like expressing like she doesn't like the verdict because people were cheering that this person who put a man in a chokehold was able to get off with that. You know, a choke. Like, this person died in his arms, and he was able to walk away with that without any repercussions. And he's like, yeah, because he's innocent. Yeah, because he didn't kill. But he put him in a chokehold. He didn't like reduce the chokehold when he was on the ground. Like, he had other people holding him down, and people yelling at him, telling him, whatever you want to look at it, saying that he's gonna die, and etc. Like, you don't think that these are things that you know, maybe a little questionable about the situation?
Judge did nothing. But when his father spoke out, they put him out the courtroom.
Well, I don't know what they're talking about here. I didn't hear.
I don't know what they're talking about. Let's move on
to this part.
Is that justice? I tell this family.
Crypto 207 just gifted 5.
Wow, great time.
The community.
Great time.
Thank
this
you very much,
Fly
Crypto.
Eagles Fly moment.
I really appreciate that, Crypto. Thank you so very much.
Fly Eagles Fly moment.
Because we're getting to the crescendo of this case.
The crescendo. Oh my god.
Thoughts, and I think you're gonna like them.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna like them all right. Because it's been so good so far.
Do not give up. Because that's what they want you to do. They want to discourage you. Just like they tried to discourage me, but 10 years later, I'm still fighting. And I'm not only fighting for myself, I'm fighting for families like yours.
What is she talking about? Discourage you from what?
Oh my god, dude. Come on. This is insane. Wow. Discourage you from what? Probably seeking justice or seeking, like, to hold people accountable for excessive murder or whatever. Like, I don't know. Okay.
From trying to convict a man of murder who didn't actually commit murder?
Yeah, you only put him in a chokehold and the dude died after that. I mean,
we can't treat this just like another news story, not another press conference. We have to speak up, and stand up. So I just say today, we did not get justice once again.
What do you mean once again? This is your isolated case.
Oh my god, this dude. This is an isolated case. Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, this whole thing about like police brutality, you know, the thing that DSP pretended to care about during COVID, all this stuff, like all this stuff he pretended to give a shit about. Maybe she's talking about those things in general. Of course not. No, she's just talking about this one person, obviously. This is the first time this has ever happened. Come on, man.
So, what you're saying is, I just want to clarify. Every single case where a black man dies and a white man is involved is exactly the same case, is what she's saying.
Oh
They're
my
all
God.
exactly the same. There's no
Dude,
different circumstances.
this is unreal though. Do you read the stories? Like, oh my god, does he know what goes on? Like, come on. Whatever, okay.
different facts or occurrences every single time that a black man is
Sure.
murdered, or even a black man just dies accidentally, and a white man is involved. It's exactly the same case.
How come white people don't die by accident? How come people accidentally kill black people all the time? Why is that the case? Why does that happen? What happens there? What happened? Huh? Whatever, let's not think about this too hard.
What's that term for when you just group a whole group of people into the same kind of mentality,
God,
and the
this
same
is-
kind of
This is
thought
so
pattern, and
insane.
you have this kind of belief
Oh my
system that
God.
a certain color of person always has malicious intent and is doing the wrong.
I want DSP to, like, at this point, you should just rewatch all his pre-streams where he was saying, like, yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement, they were right, they should stand up for police brutality. Bad policemen should be tried for their crimes. There's those, the bad police are making a mockery of the good police, right? He said all that shit, and now he's like, why do people think that this has to do with race, man? Man, okay.
Thing. What is that? Man, there's a term for this. Man, it's real hard. Sometimes I forget that.
And this fucking joke that he does, he does this every politics stream. What does it say? Like, fucking shut up. Shut up. This is not how you teach news, man. This is like really, really the worst kind of way to get your news. Like, man, move on with your life.
Because it gets thrown around a lot, and I really forget what it means sometimes because it's used so frivolously. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I wonder what it is. Okay? All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Man.
I don't need to be in the Oval Office for this. Ladies and gentlemen.
It would have been perfect if he was.
I got something to say. Okay? In this case,
Bad take
I want you to
alert.
think about this. You're on the subway. Someone is acting absolutely insane. They're threatening people. They're going crazy. They're going to attack people. They're throwing things at people.
Again, we're going to go with the Wikipedia story, right? Because that's what he read, and we're going to go with what he said. It never said he was threatening people. He just said that he was yelling and throwing trash and approaching passengers. That can mean many things. He could be just walking back and forth, and then the passenger's like, oh, he approached me because he's walking, like, towards them. Whatever. That could mean many things. He's throwing trash. He's yelling. Like, these aren't, like, threatening things that deserve death. I'm just gonna say that, You could be scared, I guess. I mean, you see a dude, like, like, freaking out, you're gonna, like, not be at peace, but, I mean, at some point, you're gonna be like, well, I don't think this guy deserved to die. And this dude is, like, saying, like, if you want to say that, like, that it's not racist what Daniel Penny did, sure. I mean, you can't prove that he was racist for doing what he did, but he didn't go to trial for being racist. Like, it's so weird that that's what he harps on, but that's not, like, people can say it's racist or that it's based on racist because of X, Y, and Z, but these are all speculative points that are also like connected to other things. I mean, it's a very loaded topic. Again, as I said at the beginning of this is very loaded, and DSP is not equipped to talk about this because he has no, like, deeper knowledge. I mean, I don't have that much of a deep knowledge myself, so so don't take anything I see as, like, gospel, I guess, or whatever. But I'm also aware that, like, the case of Daniel Penny and Jordan Neely isn't like clear, and it's not, like, easy. But what he did was excessive, and I think that he shouldn't have gotten off with what he did. I mean, I don't think people should be going around and putting people in chokeholds because they feel afraid. I mean, that's a very, like, different thing. Like, if Jordan Neely was, like, threatening someone's life and someone's about to die, that's one thing, but that wasn't the case. He was throwing trash. All he had was a muffin. Like, this really wasn't anything that was worthy or like fine to end with him losing his life over. And for him to have 40-second arrest does not validate or justify or saying that we should let Daniel Penny go because this guy had 42 arrest records. That is not good. A good thing to equate, because they're very different. What he was arrested for 42 times are like different crimes that will not give you the death penalty. You will not get the death penalty for doing drugs. You will not get the death penalty for being an abuser. You won't. But if you kill someone, that gets the death penalty. So it doesn't matter. Like if with that logic, anyone that's been sent to court for murder, they could just say, "Well, this is I didn't have any other arrest records. Why should I get the death penalty, dude?" Like that's not a good moral to have, to measure someone's morals by their arrest record. And there's a lot of other factors that are at play with this. It's not easy, and this is why you should have talked about this.
So people grab him and toss him to the ground. Okay, they hold him there. All right. Do you think that personally? Do you want people to die? No, of course not. It's the last thing you want. You don't want that person to die. But
now this sends the message that people can do that and then say, well, he was the menace and I was afraid. He was yelling. Like, he doesn't see the slippery slope that this could create potentially.
Sadly, sometimes these things happen unintentionally, which sounds like exactly what happened here. You know, Daniel Penny was not trying to murder Jordan Neely. He was just trying to restrain them to help others. Okay? I want to ask
But other people left the subway station at that point. Everyone left the subway at that point. It was a clear car, at least what that interview said. So, like, who is he protecting at that point? Whatever.
Honest question. If Jordan Neely was Indian, do you think that Daniel Penny would have said, I'll just let him do whatever?
Oh my God.
If Jordan Neely was Asian, like let's say he was, I don't know, Japanese, and he was acting like that.
Man, yeah, because
Penny would have just been like,
no hate crimes against them, right?
If Jordan Neely was white, do you think that Daniel Penny would have been like, not going to do anything?
What if you restrained him peacefully and not killed him? Like, again, if you're gonna use that interview as part of his little case here, that person also brought up, why doesn't other mentally ill people who are in the same situation as Jordan Neely, why don't they die? Why is it that Jordan Neely gets killed for being mentally unstable and being homeless? Meanwhile, other people who are homeless and mentally unstable don't get killed. Like, why is this the first time this has happened? Like, that's the point she was making. Like, you could argue the what ifs all you want, sure. I mean, you could say well, maybe it would have been the same outcome. But even then, let's take that as out of the equation. Would you really accept someone puts someone in a chokehold and they die? Like, again, Daniel Penny wasn't on trial for being racist. He was on trial for murder or manslaughter or whatever. Like, he killed someone. Like, that should be looked at as a crime. And you could argue that it was excessive in the first place. Because he could have just found other ways to restrain him, or he could have said, well, everyone left the train, okay, I'll release him, or I'll do something else. He didn't have to put him in a chokehold for as long as he did. Like, these are things that you can actively think about. But DSP is so dedicated to focus on the race card because he wants to say, well, not everyone who's white is racist. He gets so offended when people insinuate or claim that a white person is being racist, but he's not looking at the facts, he's not looking at what's going on, and he could just say, well, I don't think it's racist, that is fueled by racism, but it is excessive, and I do think that Daniel Penny shouldn't have gone off or whatever. Like, I don't think Jordan Neely deserved to die for what he did on the subway. And the crimes he did were not crimes that anyone would have gotten the death penalty over. Like, come on.
Literally what these people are saying is that the only reason that Daniel Penny treated Jordan Neely that way is because he was black. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you literally can't prove that in a court of law.
They're not
unless
trying
there's
to,
actual documentation.
They are not proving that in a court of law. They're saying that as like an observation. Like you think that, well, this is fueled by racism or whatever the fuck. These are all like speculation, whatever the fuck. But that's not why he was on trial. He read why he was in trial. Where did it say on Wikipedia? Because that's what he used. Did they say he was on trial for being a racist? It didn't. It didn't. People were saying that it was racist because it targeted a black man. And that there's a perceived fear that people get from seeing a black person yell sometimes because of a preconceived notion that was taught through them over the years or whatever the fuck. Like, these are things that are just like things that people are just stating observations of what they think is going on. This is not what they're saying in the court case. These are just observations. It wasn't the court's responsibility to prove that he was racist. That wasn't what they were trying to prove with this.
Of this person being a documented racist with preconceived notions and preconcepted, oh, I'm out to kill people today that are black because I'm a racist. You could never ever convict someone of that in a court of law.
They weren't convicting him of that.
Possible.
That's not what they were trying to do.
So they're saying the only reason that he did it is because of the color of his skin. I'm sorry, I'm of the impression from the situation we just had described to us that Daniel Penny would have done what he did regardless of the color of the skin of the person, because he just wanted to protect himself and the people around him. These people are upset.
But what made Daniel Penny more fearful of a guy yelling and throwing trash than anyone else? Again, it's not like Jordan Neely is the only homeless guy who's mentally unstable. He's not the only one. How come we have all these mass shooters, all these school shooters that the police can bring in peacefully, or just bring him in without killing him? But Jordan Neely, well, he had to be put in a chokehold. We had to. He was scared. I was scared of my life, man. He had a muffin. He was throwing trash. Like was it a trash bag full of knives or something? I don't know.
A black person died. I'm just upset because a person died. When I look at the root cause of the situation.
No, you're not. Because if he was upset, then why didn't he say that when he was talking about this? He highlighted the fact that he had 42 arrest record. He had 42 arrests. He brought that up and he highlighted that and held it over Jordan's head, basically. Well, he had 42 arrests. Look at this. Look at this. He was a criminal. And this and that. Where was this concern of his life? Okay, dude.
What's the root cause? The justice system that identified Jordan Neely as being mentally ill, but repeatedly let him out into the streets 42 times in a row. As if one of these times, magically, he's going to get knocked in the head and just become not.
But how was he, like, this is like a conundrum, though, that a lot of people face that go to prison. They have a hard time reintegrating back into society because of the crime they commit. Not every job will be willing to hire someone who was convicted of a crime. Like, this is an issue that plagues society. But this is like, but they don't talk about that in the story because, you know, they're not going to bring that up. But that is a problem with a lot of cases, that a lot of people have a hard time once they get out of jail. That's why a lot of them relapse back into crime, and they go back to that because they can't get a job a lot of the times. And if they do, they get underpaid and they get exploited because it's like, well, you're a criminal. You take the job we give you. Like, it's not easy. It's not easy. Like, that is the problem. Like, it's a loaded thing. It's a loaded problem. And I'm not saying that I have the answers or that, you know, the answer is easy to accomplish, but it's easy to identify that this is not a problem that's isolated to one person. This is a problem that expands outwards into other systems and other issues, etc. Like, it's a problem.
Not mentally ill anymore. and he's going to stop doing these things to get him arrested. No, that's
And
not
as
how.
far as the state's concerned and all this stuff, like, they can't. It's also a problem for them in the sense that they can't afford it to put everyone in prison or to hold everyone or whatever. Like, these aren't cheap things, and that's also not easy. Like, it's just a rough system. It's a rough system. As the Joker said, we live in a society.
Life works. When you're broken, and if you need help, you need to get the help you need, not ignore the problem. The failure in this system was the New York justice system. It was not Daniel Penny. The New York justice system should have identified that this person had issues and took care of this person. Or, at the very least, his fucking parents who knew this should have done something about it. Not here on the day of the court case of the acquittal of them standing, it's a horrible, it's your fault. You're the parents.
This is really stupid. Again, as I said, it's unreasonable to expect a parent to parent an adult. Let alone, like, the situation that Jordan was going through. Like, what were they supposed to do? What if they were estranged? What if they can help him? What, like, dude, come on.
You had responsibility to raise someone who is going to be productive, right in the head, and not doing crazy shit. You didn't do that. You failed. If you knew that this person was crazy, you should have done something about it. It's your own son. It's your own fault. You had him. You brought him into this world. You created the problem. You shirked responsibility. And now he's dead.
How does he know that?
You're the reason he's dead.
How did he shirk responsibility?
The New York justice system is the reason he's dead.
So, with this logic, parents are also responsible for their kid to be employed, right? So why didn't they do anything? I mean, like, what? Okay, you know what? Next time DSP begs, I'm just gonna say, where's his parents? Why did his parents let this happen? Why did his parents let DSP go through bankruptcy? Why did they let that happen?
Indirectly, Daniel Penny is responsible for the death of Jordan Neely, but he's not a murderer.
How is he indirectly responsible? He put him in the chokehold in the first place. It wasn't like Jordan Neely accidentally, like, threw something and then it hit Jordan Neely in the head and Jordan Neely fell down a flight of stairs and died. Like, it wasn't something like that. Like, he was, like, right there with his arm around his neck or whatever. You put him in a chokehold, dude. Come on.
Quit because he was black. He did it because he wanted to protect himself and others, and he would have done it no matter what the color of the skin is. This has to stop. This bullshit, progressive, over-the-top, lying fleece job has to stop. Because this is why we don't have justice in the United States.
How is it
because of this
but
shit.
How is it a lying fleece job? The DA, like, again, the DA did their job because, again, someone died in a subway by another man. So the DA should have just looked the other way? No, that's not the answer. Wrong.
This is why we have people rushing out into the streets acting crazy. Because they see this shit on the news, because they hear politicians talking about this, saying, this is America. Everyone hates you. Everyone's against you. Everyone's racist. Ladies and gentlemen, not everyone in the United States of America is a horrendous racist. There are racists in the United States that are awful people and do awful things. It's
so like what? It's like, how do you know? Do racists say, hi guys, you know, look at me, or not?
Not every person. Not everyone.
They didn't say every person, by the way. These you were talking about Daniel Penny, one person. But whatever, okay.
Is against people of different color at all. But they've created this giant strawman, boogeyman mentality in our country that everyone's against people because of the color of their skin.
Then how come it happens all the time?
That's not true. Our country is better than that.
Oh, man. Okay.
But they've used fear-mongering and scare tactics to make people like that believe it. So now they literally think every negative thing that happens to them is because people are racist. It's not true. We are.
How does DSP know that no one goes through racism in their daily life? how does he know for a fact that these people who are saying, oh, this person's racist or whatever, how does he know that's not the case? Again, that interview brings up, why was Jordan Neely the only homeless, mentally unstable person that got put into a chokehold? Like, no one else was going through this. How come people are able to go about their lives and all this stuff? Like, because it's the same thing. Like, there's all these other stories where a black person was killed, and the person that they perceived some kind of fear from that. And these are telling us there was no racist. There are racists, but they're bad people, and this and that. But no one's racist. But how does he know that? He doesn't know what people go through. He doesn't understand anything. Whatever. Okay.
Better than that. Americans are better, and our country is better than that. And people need to wake up. They do. People cheered in the courtroom because the right verdict was given. Someone who was not a racist accidentally took the life of someone who was already mentally ill, probably on drugs. It was a horrible situation.
Oh my God, they're probably on drugs, dude. What the fuck? So if he was on drugs, he also deserved to die for that? Like, come on.
They didn't deserve to be held accountable for a crime. No crime was intended. They were protecting people.
Oh my God. So then again, what would he say if Luigi said, well, I was afraid of Brian Thompson. I'm scared. I was scared of my life. Brian Thompson, like, he was gonna do something. I just had to act. I was scared for my life. Would that be okay then? Would he see that better? Would that be a better outcome for Luigi to say that he was scared of Brian? Okay.
The right thing. Vigilantism or self-defense? I don't know. But all I know...
How is self-defense? He came from behind. Like, he wasn't threatened. Again, the dude was yelling and, like, going through shit. He was just yelling and throwing trash, apparently. Like, what's self-defense? And again, is it proportionate? Again, if it was just, he was just throwing trash, I don't think that's a sentence that ends with a death penalty.
Know is that was not a situation where he did it because he was a racist. And for anyone to accuse him of that, I hate to say it, shows how mind-washed people in this country have become. And this is why we just had the election we just had.
And we're back to the election! Every week, he has brought up the fucking pendulum swing. This dude, fuck off. Enough with this fucking fetish. Do pendulum swing. Fucking pendulum swing off of something.
That's why. Because the mind washing has gotten so bad, people are seeing it and saying enough is enough.
But this was happening during Trump's presidency, though, and people were still saying that? So how does Trump's second term prove that? This dude is so fucking stupid. This dude is so stupid.
Daniel Penny is not a racist murderer. We don't want our government prosecuting people for doing the right thing.
This dude, man, it's unreal. How does he know? How does he know the right thing? Again, if we didn't have let's say that the DA did what DSP wanted and didn't go after Daniel Penny, right? How would he have known, right, that, well, Daniel Penny was the right thing? Because otherwise, the news would have just been a man on the subway puts another man in a chokehold and kills him. Like, does that sound like the right thing to you? No, it doesn't. But people came to that conclusion because of the story that came after the fact. But again, there were also people that said that it went too far. There were people who were telling that you were going to kill him. The subway was already clear of people by that point. He could have, like, let him go, but instead he held on to that chokehold. Like, you could come to your own conclusions on that. Like whatever. But to say that, like, to at least understand why someone would say that it was excessive is ridiculous. And for these people not to understand or to even, like, be empathetic to what is being said just says a lot about him. And to say, well, what about the parents? What about this? But not asking like, well, did Daniel Penny need to put him in a chokehold for that long? Like, he had other people holding him down. He could, like, whatever. Something else could have happened that could have prevented a needless death. But instead, he just goes on and on about how Daniel Penny is a hero and what he did was the right thing. But how can you say it's the right thing when you could also say very well that it's excessive? And shouldn't that also be like important? Again, like, Daniel Penny should have at least been aware, like, I should not be holding him for this long. Like, I don't know, I'm not like a fucking knowledgeable person on this, but I think a minute is easy to tell, basically, but whatever. I mean, maybe not easy to tell, but again, he's a Marine, so he should have experience into putting people in chokeholds in the first place. But he should have also just read the room and said, oh, like, again, his skin was changing color. You could tell just by, like, the moment he goes limp. Like, he could have just, like, done something more than just do this. Again, I just think that it was excessive. That's just what I think about the situation.
So we need to vote a different way. And they did. And now the pendulum swings the other way. For doing the right thing, so we need to vote a different way. And they did.
They voted for a guy that had, like, what, 39, 32 convictions, felony convictions or whatever? Yes. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
And now the pendulum swings the other way.
But that doesn't make sense, though.
It's sad that Jordan...
But if that's the case, like, this is a really, the more you think about it, the dumber it is, right? Because if the progressive way doesn't make sense, then how come he was able to get acquitted, right? He got acquitted during supposedly a liberal government. So then why did he get acquitted? Shouldn't we have thrown the book at him? Because Trump isn't on power yet, huh?
Jordan Neely has passed away, but there were many, many people involved in this process that caused that to happen. And the one person who should not be held accountable for that death was Daniel Penny.
Oh,
and that's what I have to say about that.
So we could,
all right.
So if you do in good faith, you could do accidental murder, I guess. I mean, that's cool, I guess. I mean, I guess what could possibly go wrong with that, right?
I received a $10 tip. I apologize for that. If people wanted to hear other... It's been a good episode. This week, I did not get to any additional topics because I had 3 very lengthy topics to... I'm not a government official. Are you aware of that?
Wait, what?
It's funny because now Rain3D says, well, can you tell us, how would you fix the justice system? How could you help a repeat offender? I'm not a government official.
Oh, boy.
Are you aware of that? I didn't run for government. I didn't say that I should be responsible for those decisions, nor do I have all the answers. But I certainly can
Daniel
have
Penny
the right
did, right?
to observe and give my opinions and respond to these kind of situations. I don't have to design the solutions, but I can call the bullshit out when I see it, and that's what I'm going to do on DS Politics. Okay?
All right.
Okay. So, folks, that is going to be it. I am not going to be doing any post-show. I got to get going.
He doesn't do a post-show. What the fuck is he talking about? That is it for this video. If you made it this far, thank you. Yeah, this was a loaded topic, but it seems to be getting worse every week. This fucking show is trash. Again, I just think it was excessive. Think what you want. I'm not gonna tell you how to think. I'm just telling you what I think, and I just think that what happened was a little excessive. Is all. I think that, if someone dies in your hands, like, there should be some repercussions for that. I mean, there should have been something about it, because I don't think it's gonna be a good outcome when if someone is gonna, like, have, like, something going on, like a crisis or whatever, and then, like, someone perceives that as, I'm afraid now. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen after that. I just think, like, the long scope, again, this whole thing is a very, like, deep issue that goes in a lot of directions. I think it's fine to criticize that you could think Daniel Penny was excessive. People are gonna think a lot of things about this, but he wasn't on trial for being a racist. That's not like the racist stuff was like outside of that. It was more like people are saying like, this is a racist system because of this and that, whatever. But these are just opinions that people have about circumstance. It's not why he was in trial. And I think it's a little closed-minded to just not to be against the notion of having a trial for it, because that's why we have trials in the first place. Like, because if Daniel Penny did not go to trial for this, it would just be it would be a worse outcome, in my opinion. Because I think at least, like, that's why we have a court system. If someone is received of doing something wrong, you go to court, you debate over it, a judgment's made, and that's it. I don't agree with DSP's just shotgun fires of like, oh well, he did this because of that, so why should we go to court? We should not put Daniel Penny to trial because of this. But it's like, but someone died as he put him in a chokehold. Like that should at least be investigated and be determined. Not like, okay, that happened. Oh well, like that's not an answer either. So I don't agree with like his take on that at all, and it's just it's wild. So hopefully you get where I'm coming from. It is what it is. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you in the next video. If I didn't scare you away. Again, thanks for the views, thanks for the subs, thanks for everything. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye. I mean, bye. Bye. Oh wait, hold on. By the way, guys, it's Jacko's birthday from Guilty Gear. Yeah, so since it's Jacko's birthday,
time to skedaddle on out.
Time to skedaddle on out of here. That's it, everyone. Have a good week, and I hope to see you next time. And see you probably the next episode of Last Week, Last Night. Bye.